interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Karl.
Yeah. Well, is he all right to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
Just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just...
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone... Like, I've met a few little people...
Hello and welcome to the last in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Karl, as you're aware, you've obviously got many celebrity fans. David Bowie is a fan, people involved with creating The Simpsons. And you've also got a new fan, Warwick Davis, who is the short actor that many people will see in films like Return of the Jedi. He also is in Harry Potter. He's 3'6", and Ricky and I worked with him recently on extras. And far from asking us about the many celebrity names that we've worked with, the only person he was interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Karl.
Yeah. Well, is he all right to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
Just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just...
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone... Like, I've met a few little people in my time. The one that I met a little fella once, and he was all right. He got drunk really quick. But he was all right, but it took me by surprise. Only because, like I've said about when I met Steve for the first time, it's only that same thing. And then if I lived with the little fella, I'm sure we'd get on a storm.
What do you mean when you met
There's
Steve?
a TV show waiting to happen.
What do you mean when you met Steve for the first time?
No, we've done it. You know, when he walked in, it just a bit of, he's different. But then I see Steve every week, and, you know, the same way I say I like watching Elephant Man, from the first time I watched it to the last, totally different. When he walks in the first time, it's like, oh God, look at that. It's a mess, isn't it? When I watch it again, it's kind of like, oh, here he is, here's John. So it doesn't, things wear off. That's like the world, isn't it? Things don't amaze you as much as you see things and you use things often. And it's the same with the little fella you're talking about. First time I see him, I'd be a little bit like, oh, what do you say? You know, what shouldn't I say? Whereas once you get to know him, I'm sure he'd be a lovely little fella.
I don't know where to start, Steve.
Well, Warwick, I think, suspected as much. He's offered you an interesting fact, actually. You're wearing headphones now. Apparently you wear those headphones for just 1 hour, and it will multiply the amount of bacteria in your ear by over 700 times.
But why is he worrying about that? I
Well, he's not worrying about it. He thinks it's of interest to you because you're wearing headphones. It's part of your profession.
You wear headphones, yeah.
But Warwick asks, really, what are your thoughts on short people, particularly in entertainment? Because, of course, they've, throughout the ages, made an appearance, particularly in fiction. Tom Thumb, of course, the Oompa Loompas.
What do I think of them?
He's just wondering, I suppose, what your take is.
They're all right. I mean, when I was on jury duty, when you go in the morning, you have to go into a big sort of waiting room, and every day I'd sort of see one pop in, and he'd be sort of struggling getting on the chair, and it was kind of something to watch. It was different. That's what's good with things in life. If you look at stuff and you go, oh, look at that. And seeing him struggle on the chair, he was happy. He wasn't struggling in a way that he felt uncomfortable. He'd obviously climbed a lot of chairs in his time, and this was just another one. And watching him, it just makes you think. You go, I should appreciate that I don't have that problem every time I have to sit down and what have you. But I don't think it's that bad. If I had to pick being really tall or really small, I'd go for the really small one because, the world's a more interesting place for him, isn't it? Everything's bigger. Do you know what I mean? We go to New York and go, wow, look at this. And they go and they go, oh, dear. Do you know what I mean? Everything's a lot bigger. Everything's more amazing. Food portions. Everything's a bonus. So out of the two, I'd be small, and maybe that's what I'd chat to Warwick about for a bit, just to get to know him.
Brilliant.
It's a shame in a way that he's not been able to pop in. I'd like to hear that conversation.
But I've got, speaking of like weird stuff and that, I've got a new...
Well, we weren't, but go on.
No, I've got a new book. Do you know I had that Freaks book? The Top 50 Freaks. got a new one sent to me.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, like everything normally has a name. So, like if it's the two-headed fella, you know, they're all nicknames like that, aren't they?
They've got two nicknames, I imagine.
But this new book I've got, right, on the cover of this one, it's got like a woman with 3 breasts, right, and she's called the three-breasted woman, as you'd expect. And there's what else was in there? There's a fella, the one face.
Why is she posing nude though? That's what I want to know.
Showing off. It's not the worst disability, is it?
Well, just 'cause you got 3 doesn't mean you have to get them out for the lads, does it?
Tart.
I know.
Well, she looked happy. And there was a fella with like one face but 2 bodies.
Doing one face but 2 bodies.
One face, 2 bodies.
What do you mean
It's
one
weird.
face, 2 bodies?
Surely one head, 2 bodies.
Ed as well, but it was mainly the face that was weird because he looked fed up. Sort of,
What are you talking about? How
What
can
are
you
you
have
talking
a face
about?
without a head?
How can you have? What do you mean? How did it join to the neck?
no, it did have a head, but the fact is, it was weird that it had one face to me.
What do you mean?
Well,
if you've
of
got
course
one
he had-
head, you'll
yeah.
have one face.
Yeah, I know, but it was the fact that he had one face and 2 bodies that I didn't think.
But
one
why do
head-
you keep saying one face and 2 bodies as
Why
opposed
not
to
one
one
head?
head and 2 bodies? We're all the man with one face.
Yeah, but now I've got one body.
Yeah, well, surely he's the man with 2 bodies then. Again, the description.
Roll up, see the man with one face.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He's just got like a face and then one neck, and it splits off into 2 bodies. It's
No,
really weird.
it
Honestly, it's
doesn't.
weird.
But
It was ages ago.
Well, no, it doesn't happen.
So it's full of stuff like that, right? And what I'm saying is that fella, you know, the one-faced man, the 3-breasted woman.
He wouldn't be known as the one-faced man, is what I'm saying.
Well, they all
isn't the peculiar thing about him.
No, well, they all had names like that. But
Right.
there was one thing in it that didn't even have a nickname. It was so weird.
What do you mean?
It just said unidentified.
What does it look like?
Sort of testicles for eyes. That's. It just reminded me when you were
What do
talking
you
about
mean
strange.
testicles for eyes?
And what is it? Did he have a normal body?
I didn't even look at that.
Oh,
So that's what I'm saying, though. You're attracted to the oddness of the thing, and that's what I was saying about Warren when he walks in.
Warwick.
You know, it'll be odd for a minute, and then I'm sure
For
we'll,
him.
He'll
For
get
him it
over
will be, yeah.
He'll get used to you.
you know. I mean, like I've said, I'm surprised that things like that don't happen more, because especially after being in hospital and seeing how the body works and that.
You
How
have no
does
idea how the body works.
No, honestly, I've got me
Right,
head
you
round it a
have
bit.
no idea. You've learnt nothing.
I've got me.
You've learnt nothing since the age of 7.
I've got my head round it a bit more, and the way that there's loads of people in the world, and yet you don't see people with like dangly eyes more often. It amazes me.
I love the fact that he's amazed by not seeing freaks.
Yeah.
It's incredible. He's walking down the street going, oh, everyone's got one head. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Suzanne, see any dangly eyes today? No, me neither.
It's weird, isn't it? What's going on in the world? Oh.
Warwick's not been the only correspondent. We've had a number of people. Remember years ago we used to encourage people to send in questions, and those questions have been drifting in ever since, really. Just things that people want to throw at you, see how your mind works, Karl. Do you mind answering a few? I suppose you might loosely term these philosophical questions, or at least questions that might help you think, ponder on some of the bigger ideas.
This is your forte, Karl. Philosophy, isn't it?
Question 1. Karl, are all men born equal?
Well, we've talked about Warren.
Warwick?
Say if like the pillow man, right, the fellow with no arms and legs, if everyone was like that, that wouldn't be a disability. He'd be equal to everyone else, wouldn't he?
When someone fights for equality, it doesn't mean they want to be treated literally the same. For example, it's usually about a prejudice, isn't it? Or a lack of opportunity.
Yeah.
If you were... just to think of equal opportunities in terms of a job.
Yeah.
If you needed someone for a lookout on a lighthouse and a blind person went along, they couldn't do the job. Whereas if it was listening for stuff and you didn't give it to the blind person because you were worried about, blind people, that would be imposing a prejudice because he could hear as well as you. So if he was the best for that job, he should get it, despite his other disability.
But I'm pretty sure, yeah, your ears are important in a lighthouse.
I'm pretty sure he's come down on the wrong side of the argument, Steve.
Keep going.
Go on.
No, I just want to hear it, you know.
I mean, if they want to go for any job, go for it, but then don't moan if you don't get it. That's all I think.
Is that your equal opportunity statement?
That's your statement.
Well, I don't take anyone on, so I don't have all these worries, but I'm just saying, if I was in charge of that lighthouse and the deaf fella turned up, was he deaf or blind?
Well, it depends. I gave you
There
two
was one of each.
scenarios.
There was a deaf guy and a blind guy.
And no one else. I'll put another advert in.
Okay, well, we've got another question here, which I suppose in some respects is along the same lines. Do you believe in the notion that history is written by the victors, and consequently?
Well, don't tell him what the upshot of that is.
No, I was just saying, consequently, what does that mean?
Yeah, sorry.
And consequently, what does that mean for history as we understand it?
Just that stuff's written by the people who won it, type thing.
Won what?
Won whatever they did.
But what yeah. But
Well, if it's a war, the ones who won it wrote it. But
Yeah.
of course you're going to do that. That's what you do, isn't it? You shout about it if you win something. If you lose, you go, oh, don't talk about that, it's depressing.
No, doesn't mean that at all.
Because they're not around.
Well, it means very often if someone has conquered a nation or set up a dominance somewhere, that they keep an eye on what goes out, what's propaganda or whatever, or what's taught in schools,
But it's even more significant than that, because it comes down to the very, very minute pieces of information that we see in every walk of life. Prior to black people having their freedom when they were slaves, history, or the history of black people, was not being written by black people. Therefore, it was always seen through white eyes, which often explained, justified, or excused, or dismissed, or didn't even mention many of the abhorrent things that happened. So it's hugely significant.
I suppose you can bring out 2 books. I mean, there's loads of books, isn't there? I brought one out. If I can get one out, let the losers bring one out. Is what I mean. Just let everyone have a book, and then you decide. Let people decide which one they want to read. I think they did it with some story where it was like you decide the end.
Okay, that was largely a point of this exercise, wasn't it?
He's got no idea. Karl, do you believe that the future is fixed? Do you believe that your life unfolds as a matter of destiny?
I've heard something about this where there's some system that it is laid out for you. And even if you want, say if I wanted chicken for my tea, I really fancy having chicken. But when I get to the supermarket, the fella goes, we haven't got any chicken, you're having beef. They say that was already laid out for you, and that day you were having beef. No matter what happened.
Fatalism. There's a slightly more attractive theory called determinism, where they say it's not
that's
so much.
If you want chicken, you'd go to the next supermarket and you'd go, well, I'm going to find it.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're determined in that sense. Like you're definitely going to have chicken tonight. It means that it was determined, as in predetermined. But all determinism basically says is that it's not whether you can choose. It's whether you can choose your choice, because it's to do with brain states, and we think we have the illusion of free will because you go, oh, I have a drink, oh, I fancy Coke, but something in you happened that meant you wanted Coke.
Well, this is weird, right? Because do you know how I've been in hospital having me kidney stones done and what have you? Well, as they do in hospitals. And this is why I don't like going in them.
Did I just try and explain determinism to Karl Pilkington?
Yeah,
what
I
the
didn't
fuck
want to
am I
stop
thinking?
you, but
I mean, what am I thinking?
It just made you look more of an idiot than
I
him.
know exactly. Yeah, I feel stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm in hospital, right? And like I've said to you, the annoying thing is when you're in hospital, they didn't just have a play about with the kidney. Whilst they're there, they're fiddling about with other bits, right? And they're like, oh, let's have a
That's
feel.
libelous.
No, but that's what they do. Whilst you're in, let's have a prod about. They took some blood, right? And they said to us, now the weird thing is, these kidney stones you had, it was probably caused by too much calcium, right?
That's what they are. They're a calcium build-up where you're not flushing it out, and so it's...
Yeah. Now, the weird thing is I don't like having cornflakes. So what I'm saying is, what you were just saying there is your mind or whatever. I've asked you before, I don't know what's in charge. But say like...
You don't, do you?
Say like when I get up in the morning, normally Suzanne will have some Rice Krispies. And she's like, do you want some? Right? Just have some. And I'm like, no. Now, that isn't me saying no. That's the calcium. That's my body going, I don't need any milk. Don't give me milk. I'll have a crumpet.
Now, bear in mind, Rick, that in the space of 3 minutes, we've gone from your definition of determinism to him having a lovely crumpet for breakfast. There's no one else in the world you can have a conversation with where you can make that distance that quickly.
But it is interesting how my body... Have you ever had it, right? Sometimes I can go
but
ages.
No, your body lied to you, because your body said you don't need water, you don't need water, you don't need water.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Like today before I left, Suzanne said, what do you want? Straight away I said, I need some leeks. Now... that operation I've had has obviously taken out whatever leaks give me. I'm lacking on that.
See, I think he probably has it more than the rest of us, because I think he uses his subconscious more than us. We think about stuff. He is like the leech that is going on chemical memory. Yeah. Oh, he's only gonna rain it down.
That jingle there signifying, of course, once again, another reading from the Diary of Karl Pilkington. Now, of course, for those of you who have not been keeping abreast of Karl's medical complaints, just bring us up to speed, Karl. You had to go into hospital this week because previously you'd had...
I've been in and out, honestly. I've been in and out of that hospital just with kidney problems, really painful and what have you. And
he had kidney stones, all right?
No, but seriously.
Monday. I had a bit of a lie-in today because I have to get up early for my operation tomorrow. Not only have I got to have tubes shoved up my knob, but I also have to get up at 5:50. Suzanne said I could have what I want for my last dinner. It's not your last dinner, you're going for an operation.
Yeah, but you can't take things for granted these days.
Oh,
I had shepherd's pie and peas. Suzanne made it from scratch. As nice as it was annoying. Because making stuff from scratch means loads of pots, and it's my job to do the washing up. So much as the food was nice, there was loads of pans and that. People who get their last dinner on death row don't have to wash up. Got up at 5:55. You were supposed to be getting up at 5:50 on the other page. You were 5 minutes late getting up.
He's often late.
Often late.
No, just because I needed to have water. Before 6 o'clock, they said, don't have anything after 6.
We'll get up at 5:50 then, like you were planning to. You're having 5 minutes sleeping.
Doesn't take 10 minutes to have water, though, does it?
Well, why did you say 5:50 in the first time?
Because then it tricks me head, doesn't it? Going, I had an extra 5 minutes.
Tricks me head. Because then it tricks me head.
It got to the hospital and had to wait in the waiting room. There was another 9 people in there waiting to be sorted. I got called in. They sat me on a bed and took all my details down. 5 minutes later, I'd been knocked out. I got woke up when they were ripping a pipe out of my throat. I felt more rough this time. The doctor came to see me and said he couldn't find a stone, so I must have passed it. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, we filled your kidney with water and expanded it, and there was no hiding place. I sat in the recovery room for an hour while they found me a bed. One of the fellows who was sat in the room with me this morning got wheeled in. They couldn't wake him up. All the nurses were laughing because he didn't want to wake up. I bet they were laughing at me when I was in the theatre. Someone told me they totally strip you when they're operating. I would have looked like the alien on the Boswell incident.
Boswell!
It's quite a nice analogy if it weren't for the fact that you said Boswell.
It's
the Roswell incident. Didn't sleep much through the night because there was a 60-year-old fella shouting at the nurse about his pillows. I don't think I slept through a full hour with one thing or another going on. My bed was next to the toilet, so I kept hearing the flush.
How do they sleep in hospitals, though? They wake you up to give you fucking sleeping pills and things, don't they? How do you sleep in there? It's always hot. It's always like 90 degrees.
There's no air.
Is that to make you drink water?
I don't know what it is. There's no air. There was an old fella across from me who kept breaking wind. He didn't even try and cover it. He was just of that age where he didn't care. Just like, that's what I do. I'm in the hospital, leave me alone.
What do you mean?
Just, I don't know what was wrong with him. I talked to him because at first I felt sorry for him. I was a little bit like, he's had no visitors. No one's calling him up, so I'll talk to him. But then he got that familiar with me that he'd just be doing it whilst I'm chatting to him. Just like he's my granddad or something. It's just like, oh, that's what he does. It's like, well, I'm ill as well. Stop doing that. Honestly, unbelievable. He didn't even try and cover it with a cough. It was just like, that's...
with a cough? How would you cover it with a cough?
Just non-stop.
Got home and sat down. My pains are coming back, but the doctor said this would happen, that my insides are still in shock, so I need to take it easy. It's 9 o'clock. I'm in agony. I can't do the diary for the rest of the day.
Jesus.
So you may as well just tell us then what happened.
Right, well, yeah, after that, went back in. Suzanne just got frustrated with me because I was rolling about on the floor and she was trying to watch Arthur, right? So that was on the other night.
I thought it was when your lodger.
So,
and she said, look, if you're in pain, do something. She said,
You went and got a cold plate.
Yeah. No, use an ashtray. Plates are for liver damage.
She said, right, come on. Let's, actually, I can't put up with this. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we left the flat and what have you. Got in a taxi. He filled up on the way, which was annoying.
He didn't.
That is cheeky.
That really, I mean, he could
On
see
the
us
way
in
to the
pain.
hospital.
So
Because he's not an ambulance driver.
Did you explain that where you were going
I
to?
was in that sort of thing where you just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? I was in a sweat and stuff.
He came back with a scratch card and some barbecue.
Briquettes, yeah.
So anyway, he gets us there and he doesn't charge us, which is pretty decent.
Oh, that's all right, yeah.
So I go in and there's like, I don't know if you've been in like A&E at like
Graham, I imagine.
2:30 in the morning. It's just depressing. Fluorescent light doesn't help because it makes everyone look iller than they actually are. So in there was a woman who was just sat there crying. She wasn't holding onto any part of her body. She was just sat there whinging. And when you're feeling bad, you've got that going on. So you just want to tell her to shut up. There was a fella who was like moped over in a wheelchair that someone had just chucked in.
Moped over.
It looked like somebody had just sort of found him and wheeled him in.
Nurse? Who's the guy moped over?
So this gay fella came through. And,
How do you know he was gay?
Just the way he was. I'm not having a go. He was a good fella. Do you know what I mean?
A doctor, you mean?
No, he was a nurse.
Right.
And he came through and just sort of went, "Oh, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I've had better days." So he got
As
me
you
on
mentioned in the diary, I remember the first time when I came here, they said the nurse might put a tablet up my arse. I thought the chances of that happening had just increased.
Oh, Karl!
Yeah, but I would have let him do it. Honestly, I was that sort of out of it.
Of course you'd let him do it. He's a qualified nurse.
No, but the way I am now, say if it was just a tablet for sorting out my blood pressure, and I walked in there and he went, "Oh, hello," and he said, "Yeah, let's pop that." I'd go, "Hang on a minute." But what I mean is that night I would have just let him put 3 up. Honestly, it's just weird, isn't it? How your body just goes, let them get on with it, and you trust anyone, don't you? When you're in that much pain and you need
And
help.
they're a qualified nurse, yes.
They gave me some morphine, and my sort of head caved in again like last time, and then the pain went. But anyway, just turns out that I'd had a load of like blood clots in the bit from my kidney to my bladder, and that was acting as a sort of a stone again.
No, it's just,
So
it's
that's
just a scab, isn't it, where it's curing it? So.
No, but all the work, when they blew up the kidney 4 times its normal size, so there was no hiding place for the stone.
Yeah.
So when they did that, it caused a lot of blood. It must have ripped the sides of it and stuff. And then that blood was in the kidney, and it went down the pipe and blocked it up a little bit. And that's the pain that I had. It was sort of, had problems getting through all this thick blood that they caused. So the weirdest thing that happened when I was in there, right? The morning like after I'd had the morphine and what have you, right? I slept pretty well, but I woke up and you have like a telly for your own bed, that you're allowed to use if you pay for it, right? So the glow from that woke me up because they come on at about 7:10, and the telly's in front of your head, right? So you're getting this glow and you're going, "Oh, what's that now?" And I looked at it, and all it had written on it is, "Karl received bad news about your father." Right? And I was like, is this what they do now? Because it's such a big hospital, did they just text you sort of news to your bed? And I was kind of like, like I say, it was early, it was 7:10 or whatever. Thinking, what's going on? I didn't have my mobile, Suzanne took that. And I was looking at it, I read it again, I thought, it might come up with more, like, what's up with him? Turns out it was just a review for Neighbours. It just tells you... it tells you what's on the telly that day. And there's some fella in Neighbours who's called Karl, whose dad went bad. So that sort of woke me up a bit. I had a bit of a shock then. It was kind of like... So I was wide awake at like 7:15 in the morning because my heart went a bit fast because I thought something had happened to my dad.
Karl, of course, has written a poem about the experience entitled My Ward.
All I've done here, I've been through a, I don't know what the word is, a bad experience.
Trauma.
A trauma, yeah. I've been through a load of trauma.
Mm.
So I'm just finishing it off with a little sort of picture for people.
Go on then.
In my ward. It's called my ward. Me, a Chinese fella, and an old bloke who looked like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Don't know what was wrong with him, but breaking wind was the symptoms. No one visited him or called him. He seemed quite lost to me. As well as wind problems, he had a colostomy.
Back.
When I left, I said, "See you" to the old man. Turned out the other fella wasn't Chinese. He was from Japan. I never found out what was up with him. You've got a little picture there, haven't you, of me sat in my ward. I'm sat there with that fella who I didn't talk to, the old fella who had wind problems. And that's what a poem is, isn't it?
But the detail about you thought he was Chinese and he turned out to be Japanese, how is that evocative? That's just a piece of misinformation.
It's just
I like it.
I imagine a lot of people make that
I like
same
it because
mistake.
you know why? It's like he even makes digressions within his poem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like he could have gone back and erased that, but he didn't. He left that digression in, and I think that's great.
It's very honest.
Yeah. So, you've done quite a few bits there from the diary, right? The other week you were saying a diary to sort of be famous and what have you, it's got to have a big event in it. That's a big event in my life, right?
Mm.
Peeps did a diary that had big events in it. You said about the fire on Pudding Lane. I've had a kidney stone here.
You write about puddings you've had.
So is that as big as... Is that a proper diary thing?
It's a proper diary anyway.
I think personally, the 5 or 6 pages you've written about your ill health are genuinely interesting, and I'm sure in years to come, it will be an interesting evocation of the NHS at this modern age and how it is, what it's like to be in hospital.
What other diaries are out there?
Well, a lot of them are fictional, of course. Bridget Jones and the like. There are lots of memoirs, but to
I
publish a
don't
whole
know
diary,
why.
I mean, you can
Well,
get
the two most famous diaries I'd have thought was Pepys and Anne Frank.
But
Yeah.
Kenneth Williams' diaries were published after his death. Many celebrity diaries have been published. Alec Guinness, people like that.
And is that just their last year, or did they do it when they were doing a lot? Because
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're old and sort of not working well, a diary isn't that good.
Well, often the moments prior to their passing are some of the most interesting. You see their final thoughts and final days.
Yeah, but you say different things when you're ill. When I was on that table about to go under and you're thinking this might be it, different thoughts on the world. Do you know what I mean? Different priorities.
What's the most profound thing that you thought that it was because of your illness?
Just as I went under, the last thing I said to this woman was, "Oh, you look different with that on." And
Oh, you look different with a hat on.
yeah, it was the woman who gave me the injection, and she'd been round to the bed beforehand, sort of saying, "Right, you're allergic to this. Can you eat strawberries?" And I was a bit like, "Why are you asking me that?" And she went, "Well, no, a lot of people are allergic to strawberries." And I was saying, "But is there any trace of strawberries in the stuff?" And she's like, "No, it's just that a lot of people are." And I said, "Well, no, I eat them." And then she's like, "What about fish?" And I said, "I like some, but I haven't had them all." And and then she turned to Suzanne at that point and said, "What, do you know of anything you can't eat?" She sort of said,
like turning to the mother.
Yeah.
When the child can't answer.
but she was this woman, and she didn't have a hat on or anything. And then when I went down there, I didn't realise it was the same woman until I was lying there and she started to inject me, and I just said, "Oh, you look different with that on." And then I went out, and when I woke up, the woman sort of came round and just sort of said, "Oh, it's weird that was the last thing, like you said," and that made me think that could have been my last, like fighting on the beaches or whatever. That could have been my little thing.
You look different with a hat on, Karl Pilkington.
Oh, God.
In its own way, it's quite wise. People do look different with hats on.
I think his last words would be something like, "Can this kill you?"
Yeah. Suzanne, can you drink bleach?
So that's it. That's the end of this series, the third series of the Ricky Gervais Show. We'll have to give it a rest for a while, won't we?
I'm exhausted.
Thank you, everyone who bought the series. All 24 episodes we've ever done are available on iTunes. So, yeah, if you haven't heard them, but maybe we should do a free one now and again over the coming years. Should we retire from podcasting and audiobooks? We've made our point, haven't we?
I think we've made the point, yeah. I mean, you always leave them wanting more. And let's be honest, we passed that long ago. So we may as well stop now, as good a time as any.
Let's never say never, but for quite a while, it's goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Chimpanzee that monkey news, you little round-headed...
Right, years ago, people only drank water, didn't they?
How long ago are we talking?
Going back a bit.
Okay.
And it was just the norm. Everybody was happy with that. It was kind of like, what, you're thirsty, have some water. It was just what you did. And it was more of...
Well, no, not only water.
No, it was. It was kind of like...
Well, they drank milk at birth, didn't they?
Yeah, as a baby. But then you don't have that when you're older. What I mean is more now, as we've...
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
Hello, welcome to the Ricky Gervais Show with Guardian Unlimited. Back where it all started. With me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello.
And of course, Karl Pilkington.
Right.
The internet phenomenon that is Karl Pilkington.
Now this could be interesting.
Now that noise, do you want to explain, Steve?
I will. I've just sent a text to this number that some of you may have heard of, 63336. Now, apparently this is a number you can send a text to, and it will answer any question that you have for it. And in the past, for instance, I sent it quite profound questions. I once asked it, should they have dropped the second bomb on Nagasaki, and it had a very thoughtful answer. So we've sent it a question, perhaps equally thoughtful. Karl Pilkington believes in ghosts. Is he an idiot?
Now, we sent that because this is the Halloween special. These podcasts are 3 one-off free specials, and they're free because we want to thank people who paid for the audiobooks we did, the last 2 series. So thank you for that. I've just bought a flat in New York, and Steve's just bought a lovely BMW.
Mercedes.
Oh, is it a Mercedes?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Carl's having his kitchen done and his boiler replaced. Still not happy. But yes, thank you. The back catalogue is still available in audiobooks on iTunes, but these are 3 free ones.
Anyway, the question we asked, 63336, Karl Pilkington believes in ghosts. Is he an idiot? And this is the response. Unusually, producer Karl Pilkington is both an idiot and a comic genius. His humour is not to everyone's taste, however.
That's amazing.
That's the response. But it's curious because it doesn't really answer our question about ghosts.
Send them, do you believe in ghosts?
Okay.
This is the Halloween special, of course. That's why we're talking about ghosts. Karl, do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen like a proper ghost.
So why do you believe in something that there's no evidence for?
Yeah, but why are we here then? If it is just sort of you're born, right? And we are useless. At least other creatures, when they're born.
Well, you speak for yourself.
No, but other creatures are born to do a job, aren't they? When a bee's born, you know what that's going to be doing. It hasn't got any options. That's got a job to do. And it does that job and it dies and the next one comes along.
Oh.
We asked it, do you believe in ghosts? The existence of ghosts is not proven. Many experiments have claimed to identify ghosts, but none have been scientifically sound.
Excellent. See,
Yeah,
that's a sensible, intelligent, logical, thoughtful answer.
Weird things have happened to me when I was living at home and was in bed one
Where
night.
do you live now?
No, but I was at my first home.
Your parents?
Yeah, my mum and dad's. So I'm in bed and I'm lying there, and you get that sense of like, there's something going on.
Right.
And I sort of look over my quilt, and there's nothing there. Thinking it's weird that. So turn me back on it. I'm thinking I don't want to know. If there is something there, I don't want to know. Right? So I'm turning me back on it. But then there's like a really high-pitched noise, right? Sort of the hairs on my back are like going up a bit. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And it's the high-pitched noise.
Yeah, the hairy back
louder.
even as a kid.
No, but you know, everyone's got little
I thought it
hairs
was
on them, haven't they? Everyone's got little tiny hairs on them and stuff. And I thought, I can't stand this. And I turned around, put the light on, legged it downstairs. Right? And my mum's saying, what are you doing? I'm going, oh, I don't know, there's something up there. So she said, all right, then watch the telly. So I stayed up for a bit, watching the telly. Went back to bed, the high-pitched noise had gone. Went to sleep. Get up the next day. Charlie from next door comes round. He goes, Hilda's dead. Right? And my dad said, oh, when did that happen? He said, last night at 11:15.
Right.
That's when I was in bed.
So, what are you telling me for?
Because it's weird, isn't it? It's that thing of...
what do you think would be weirder, that no one ever died at 11:15 when you were in bed?
No, but that's when all the weirdness was going on. That's when the tone was happening, my back was getting itchy and stuff. And
Coincidence.
And I went down and watched telly, went back up, gone and that. But that's when her spirit had sort of...
No.
Ah, okay, right, interesting. No, this is where we get into the facts.
So Hilda's spirit had left
was whizzing round my bedroom, because my bedroom was right next door to theirs.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, that's one.
Why do they whiz round when they die? Why do spirits whiz round when they die?
Because they're going, where am I going?
Are they?
And they're whizzing round, aren't they? Am I going down? Am I going up?
No, that's Karl.
No,
but
but
I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah, but it's not going to be easy, is it? How do you think it works?
It doesn't work.
But once again, it's not proof of anything, Karl. Beyond the fact that you were a child in bed.
Why did your dad ask what time she died?
No, he just sort of, what do you say to someone when it's awkward, isn't it? When someone gives you bad news, so you just think, well, what can I ask?
What time
did
exactly?
that happen?
Sorry?
No, you just go,
exactly what time did she die?
My wife passed away.
Yeah,
what time exactly?
No, not exactly. He just said, that's bad. When did that happen? What time?
And he said, well, thanks for asking.
11:15. 11:15.
11:15. I remember.
What did he say last night? Oh, that's weird, isn't it? Convenient, aren't they, all these stories?
Or is it? Or, yeah, I mean, it's either that's exactly what happened, Rick, or he's misremembering the actual
I don't know which one to plump for.
But I tell you this though,
go on.
If we're talking about ghosts and that.
Yeah.
Now, Hilda.
Yeah.
Choose your bog standard old woman.
Right.
I hope that's on the gravestone.
I know. Yeah.
No.
Did you do the eulogy?
No,
That's great.
What
can we say about Hilda? Bog standard old woman. Right, there's sandwiches at the bar.
That's the most insulting thing you could ever say.
There's nothing. No.
Let's just think about
Hilda
that phrase.
lived her life. Thank you for coming to celebrate the life of Hilda,
who died at 11:15 specifically,
and was a bog standard old woman. Are we burning or burying?
But anyway. But she lived to be quite old.
Which annoyed you.
In a bog standard way.
But this is what I was saying about us all living too long and stuff. It just makes it worse when it does come to us being a ghost.
I don't know what you're talking about again.
That sentence made no sense.
Just, if you are going to be haunted, right, say, I know you're going to say, well, I don't believe in them, so I'm not worried, so don't be going on about it. But say, like, your new place that you've bought, you move in, and you go to bed, and there's something moving about the room. You see it, it's a ghost.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's, for the sake
more
of
likely, a Siamese cat called Ollie.
No, because that's probably got its own room, hasn't it? But what I'm saying is, would you prefer to have an old person moving about looking at you, or just a young person? I'd prefer a youngish person who looks normal and is sort of floating about, and you go, all right.
That looks normal, floating about.
No, but an old woman would really scare me. And ghosts are always going to have a bad reputation because they look scary because they're old. So that's...
You talk absolute shit.
That's all I'm saying. So
Can you believe we ever charged for this?
No, but look, if we are going into another life, right, after this...
Which we're not,
we move on to another life.
Yeah.
We're not going to move on. That land, say if it is like another world, where we go and we plough fields and we grow croppage.
Croppage.
We grow crops.
Crops.
Crops, if you want.
Yeah. Well, I would like to use the English language.
Yeah, but there's too much fruit about, so just a crop, just something we need to get by.
Fruit about. He's got an answer for everything.
That's
So we
what
grow
I'm
some
saying.
crop.
Yeah. So you grow your crop, and now if we're all going into that other land or world or universe, old, who's going to do the cropping?
Oh God! Oh, I've never heard so much crop in my life.
It's a load of old crop.
I had to go for an ultrasound, right?
Isn't that what you do if you're pregnant?
Yeah, but do you know I've had kidney stones?
Are you
and that?
expecting?
We've talked about
Lucky
it
you.
in the other podcast and that we've done, right? I've had a kidney stone. I don't want to go on about it. But it was painful and that.
Well, you are going on about it.
Yeah, and there was
no,
nothing.
but I'm just saying.
It's routine. Don't worry about
It's
it.
not routine.
Well,
Why
it
do they have
is.
to keep
Loads
going
and loads
back
of
then?
people.
Why do they have to keep going back? You're questioning me.
You're
on
getting into a
ultrasound.
routine. Keep going back. It's better than working in it. You don't have to
Promote the
sell the book. No. Holiday or hospital. Holiday or hospital. Holiday or hospital. I don't know. I'll just say that we've got a book out, right? The World of Karl Pilkington. It's out now. When he goes on holiday the first week, right? He's in and out of hospital. He's doing no good. He's got to go in again. He goes away with his family like twice a year. Goes away with Suzanne's family twice a year. He's now said he doesn't want to do any press for it because it's boring, or he doesn't want. Why aren't you plugging the book? I mean, if you're an author, you've got to get behind
I've
it.
bought books without hearing someone telling me to buy stuff.
No, you're
You just buy stuff.
lazy. You're
No,
lazy.
I'm not lazy. It's just that I'm sick and tired of putting telly on or the radio and having people telling me, "Oh, you've got to buy this, you've got to buy that." No, I don't have to do anything. I'll have a look myself when I'm in a bookshop. Let them just find it.
But there are hundreds and thousands of books, Karl. They may not find it.
Well,
You're
just
trying
have
to
a
direct
look.
them towards it.
I don't want to direct them to it. I just, if you come across it,
But
most
why
of
have
the
you
books,
put all this work into this book, all these illustrations you've done and
because
extra
I
material?
enjoyed it for me.
Right, but you don't want anyone to read it.
Yeah,
so
they
why
will
just put it
read
in a
They
drawer?
They will read it. They'll find it. People will find it. It's in the shop, isn't it? I'm always finding little books on different things and what have you.
Yeah, but you don't read them. You read the first couple of lines and you get it wrong.
So I went back, right, and they had the ultrasound thing where they're looking to see what else is in there. And when I was in the waiting room, there was a woman there. I reckon she was about 98. Now, why are they rooting around in her to see what's up with her? Just let her die. Do you know what I mean? If she's not in any
Jesus.
pain, no. All
Such
I'm just saying, how long does she want to be around? And the problem is, she went off. Right, I was sat in the waiting room. She went off into the little cubicle to put her a gown on, and because she's old, she can't bend her arms and that. So she came out with it all open on the back, and it was horrible. It looked like a chicken that hasn't been looked after, right? It was all leathery skin and that, right? Now, the thing is, it's all very well keeping people alive, but the surroundings of the body isn't meant to be lasting that long, is it? Do you know what I mean? The actual skin of a body, it's all very well keeping the heart going, checking the kidneys and all that, but we're not meant to be around this length of time. Yet we're messing with it.
Yeah. Just do the gown up.
You never see insects or anything like that look old. You don't go, look at the state of that.
Because they live about 4 weeks.
Yeah, but maybe that's the way it's meant to be. In the same way, maybe we were only meant to live to be 40.
But why did you go in for your operation then? Why didn't you just think, well, this is it, I've
It's
had
on
my
offer.
time?
If they're looking after an old woman who's about 98, I'm having a go.
Well, of course.
Because you want to live on.
She might have been flirting with you.
No, she was.
Keeping it open, just so you can have a little look.
But I'm just saying, is that right? Is it right that
You
they're
were
going
checking
in
her out.
there rooting around and stuff? I didn't like it. I didn't like having it done. I don't like going to the hospital and stuff and the doctors and all that. And she was pushing the thing down, and she said, "Oh, you can have a look if you want." So
What down where?
on my kidneys, she was pushing like this little scanner thing.
Oh, right.
She was going to have a look. I was going, "I don't want to have a look." She's going, "What's up with you?" I said, "I don't want to see me insides." It's
Did
not
they have
normal."
Did they put a tube down the end of your knob?
Yeah, they did all that. We've talked about that in the other.
But you were
Audio
unconscious,
books.
weren't you?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it? If you know it's going on, it still bothers you. It's because you're asleep.
Well, not really, no.
What do you mean?
Well, why does it bother you if you're asleep?
Well, that's like saying, "Oh, I woke up and the house was robbed." Oh, it doesn't matter. You're asleep.
Well, no,
It's
but...
still going to bother you, isn't it?
but you knew it was happening and you did it willingly.
Well,
It's not pleasant to go in and be made to go unconscious. That's the unpleasant bit, isn't it? And the pain.
Well,
and
no, it's more the idea of it, isn't it? That's why doctors telling you everything they're doing. It's like, don't tell me. You know what you're doing. Just do it. I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
going to have a
so-
go at it. You know, it's not like DIY people coming around and going, oh, what you should have done there is, and you can go, oh, I'll have a go at that next time on my own without calling you out. Forget kidney stones again. I'm not going to go, oh, I've had it done before, I know what to do, I'll stick it up there. Doesn't happen, does it? But I can't, what was I saying? So anyway, so she was pushing the scanner over me kidneys and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, it was weird with her because at no point did she make eye contact with me.
Well, I don't understand what that means. What she meant to wink and go, your kidneys are fucked?
No, but it's just weird that she probably spends her days looking inside people more than she does talking to people. I just thought it was odd that that's how she sees people. When she looks at people, she probably sees kidneys.
What, this doctor?
The woman doctor.
Well, doctor.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're saying is, the strange thing is that she often spends more time looking in people, because she's a doctor, than chatting to them.
Yeah.
And is it weird that Jonathan Ross is the other way around, because he's a chat show host? He spends more time talking to people than looking inside them.
No, but even when I was
Because he's
asking
got a different job.
when I was asking her questions, saying, you know, does it look all right? What's it doing? Is it moving about? You know, asking her questions about my kidney. She could have quite easily just turned around and give me a bit of eye contact.
But she was say, shut up, I'm concentrating, I'm at work.
looking at the screen in order to answer your questions.
Yeah, she's at work, she's doing something.
No, but just...
If she was here now going, Karl, what are you doing with that microphone? You'd go, shut the fuck up, I'm doing a podcast.
Did she run this scanner over your head? And if so, did she find anything? We'd like to try and educate Karl, Rick, as you know, as we have done since we've known him, really, and he doesn't really seem to absorb any information.
No.
And I was asked recently, when I was going back to Bristol, if I would come and talk to a classroom of school children.
All right.
You know, just talking about careers, and particularly my career. And I went down there. It was in Bristol. It was an inner city school, quite rough area.
You're a son of Bristol. You're
Exactly, they love me
You're a
down there.
celebrated son of Bristol. You're a Golden Globe winning person who's returned to the homeland.
It annoys me when I go down there that I'm not met as I get off the train like the Beatles used to be when they came back from America.
By
you
a
know?
mayor and a brass band.
Hordes of people, ticker tape.
Forever this day will be called Steve Merchant Day.
Exactly. It frustrates me that I just sneak back into town. There's no fanfare.
Yeah.
But basically, they asked me to come talk at this school, and I sort of batted them away and said I'm too busy. And so I foolishly left them the opportunity to ask me again, which they did, and I didn't have a decent excuse, so I went. And I was expecting to talk to maybe a room of sixth formers. They were 9. These kids, 9 and 10 years old. But I realised as I was walking into the school, I was suddenly really nervous. I was more nervous than anything I've ever done, because I realised that I've not spoken to a child like that since I was a child myself. I've never interacted with them. So I didn't know at what level I would be able to pitch this talk. You know, I didn't know what they understood, what ideas they understood. Obviously, in my mind, I was picturing Karl, and then I was ratcheting it up a few years, sort of IQ-wise.
Yeah.
And I went in
So
there,
what did you talk to them about?
and I was supposed to talk about careers, and I realised very quickly that they didn't really understand conceptual ideas.
Did they know who you were?
Not really. One or two of them vaguely knew. One of them went, "What's Ricky Gervais like?" And I said,
You got a deep voice.
yeah. Actually, that was one of the teachers.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be talking about careers, how to get into careers. And I start trying to explain the idea of being a writer, and I say that it's very important to be able to get inside other people's minds, you know, figure out how they think and how, you know, and try to understand other people. But this, they didn't really seem to grasp. They started talking amongst each other. You know, they were just losing interest. I lost them straight away. I was devastated.
Oh, no.
So then, and this is the worst thing, right? I started lying to them. Because I realised that every time I told a slight lie, because I thought they'd be interested, they were. So I carried
know
on lying.
Justin Timberlake.
You're not joking, right? They said, one of them said, "I understand you used to be a DJ," and I went, "Yeah, it's great being a DJ because you get to meet pop stars like Robbie Williams and Beyonce." Never met either of them. Never met them. And they went. One of the kids went, "What's Beyonce like?" and I went, jokingly, I went, "You wouldn't like her." And I said, "No, I'm joking. She's lovely. She's sweet. She's good as gold." I was making it up. But they were loving this, and the teacher was going, "Would you all like to meet Beyonce?" And they were going, "Yeah." And I was thinking, God, well...
I'll bring her down tomorrow.
Well, exactly, but I don't know why I felt it was like I wanted to win the approval of these 9-year-olds.
That's amazing.
Because my own achievements, I realised, wouldn't mean anything to them. You know, I could talk about the people I have met, but they don't care if I've met Robert De Niro, but they're interested if I've met Girls Aloud. Or Me and Girls Alone, some of the times we've had together, it turns out. But it is fascinating when you have to interact with people, with children like that, because I've got no concept of how to talk to children. To me, I can't grasp the difference really in conversation and chat between, say, a 7-year-old and a 13-year-old. I don't know at what point they learn stuff and pick stuff up. Do they understand? Do you know what I mean? I find it really hard.
I remember once when I was about 9, the headmaster, deputy headmaster, used to do a little fable. I've talked about him in stand-up. He used to do a little fable. There's one I remember where he got a tube of toothpaste and he got someone up. He said, "You, come out here. Squeeze this tube of toothpaste out on this board." And he squeezed it all out, right? And he squeezed it all out and emptied it. He went, "Now put it back in." And the kid tried to struggle, and he goes, "You can't do it." He said, "It's easier to do something than undo it." Okay, go back to class. Like people are going, "Oh, I get it. I know what he means."
Yeah.
They're just thinking, don't squeeze all the toothpaste out.
Yeah.
Just save some.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's no way they're going to take on
No,
that
exactly.
metaphor at the age
It's too
of 9.
conceptual, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, just stop misbehaving or I'll smack you. That worked. Karl, have you had to have any dealings with kids? How do you get on with kids? Do you relate to them? Or are they just as angry and perplexed by your views as we are?
I mean, it's with everything, isn't it? Everyone's different and that. I can get on with some young kids all right, and some of them are, like, you know, a bit cocky and what have you. But I'm sort of getting on with the baby at the moment, because I've been made a godfather.
Think of that.
So...
wow, who did they reject?
I know.
No, I mean...
Who said no?
Yeah.
Well, I did. No? I did at first, and
Brilliant.
then Suzanne said, "Look, it's not really a choice. It's not like a job interview or something that you're thinking about. Is it a good thing? So you've been asked. You should take it on."
But what are they? What if they? Hold on. If you're the godfather of this kid, presumably you're friends with them, and they probably listen to this
they're good
podcast.
friends.
So now they're hearing, for the first time, that you didn't want to be godfather.
Yeah, but I think that's good, because they can hear that. It wasn't. I didn't just do it because I was asked. I thought about it. I thought it through. I was worried. It was kind of like, is this a job? And I was just.
Well, it's nothing but tokenistic, is it? You're not.
Well,
really
this is what I looked into. I said, we went back, and I said, right, I've been thinking about this thing. I've heard that it's my job. If anything happens to them, I've got to kick in. I'd have to start looking after the baby. So I said, right, how many of you are in your family? If that happens, am I going to start getting a phone call or what? And they said, no, there's a big family. You're not. You're at the bottom of the list. So I was like, how many? And just finding out what their age is. And I've only got a small flat. It would have to sleep in the sink or something, right? So I checked all that out, and all safe. So this baby, it's spooking me out a bit because it doesn't blink. And that's pretty weird when you're sort of talking to it and you're thinking, it's not blinking.
Are you sure it's not asleep?
No, it's weird. If something doesn't blink, it's like it's evil. Because blinking just makes something look a bit more friendly, doesn't it? And I was stood there, talking to it. I just tell it little stories about anything. It's lying there looking up at me.
How old is it?
It's must be about 2.5 months.
Well then, why are you telling it stories?
Because it likes it. But it's just weird how, then I'll sort of forget the story because I'm looking at it going, it's not blinked yet. It's been about 10 minutes, it's not blinking. So then I forget the end of the story and I just walk away because it's not bothered anyway. It's probably not listening, is it? But
What a pointless tale! What a pointless tale now and at the time.
I think it likes it. The kids like stories, like you say. They're not bothered if it's not true or anything.
Or if you walk away before the ending because you've forgotten it.
That's
Brilliant.
why it's not blinking. It's so dumbstruck at the idiocy coming out of your gob.
No, but you don't need to hear endings of stories. Maybe, like I said
That's
to
the
you.
point. That's the point of a story, isn't it?
No, it's not.
That's the point why people... That's why people like stories, because they're hooked into knowing what happened.
No, because there's loads of films that happen and they have a funny ending. You leave there going, I wonder what's meant to happen. And you make it up in your own head. You go, well, I bet what happened is that person went off and got married to that woman and they lived happily.
And then in your head, it's the truth. It's actually what happened.
But I think that's better. Why are we told everything? Because
So what would your end be to a story such as The Elephant Man? Okay, he's rescued from the freak show. He's put in the hospital. He becomes something of a celebrity. Then what happens?
He discovered he had big ears and he could fly. And he joined the circus and he was the main attraction.
I wouldn't change the end that much because at the end of the day, you can't make something up that's not believable. At the end of the day, he's got an head like an elephant. He's not going to have a good life, is he? So there's no point making out that he went on, loads of women fancied him, and, you know, he modelled hats. It's not going to happen. So he's got to die. The Elephant Man had to die. Yeah. But at the same time...
Was shot by poachers?
For his
tusk?
Show a few positives, you know, because I'm sure there was good bits in his life. I don't know what they were, but, you know, look at everything.
What was he like when he was a little baby elephant?
They didn't cover what he was like as a kid. But you can get away with them sort of looks when you're a baby. You can be an ugly baby and everyone goes, oh, isn't it nice? There was some woman in a cafe the other week that I was sat in, and she came up and she sat down with a mate and she was talking loudly, going on about, oh, the baby's lovely. They said it's got lovely big eyes, really big hands and feet. Now that doesn't sound like a nice baby to me. I felt like saying it sounds like a frog, but I thought, I don't know her. There's only so much you can say to a stranger. I don't know what kept me from saying it. That's what I was saying before about there's something.
It sounds like a frog.
There's something inside of you that stops you.
Yeah, that's amazing that you had the urge to go, that doesn't sound like a good baby. What, love? I'm just listening to conversation. That baby you're talking about sounds like a fucking frog.
Yeah, but something stopped him saying it.
I just came back from America, and they love Halloween.
They're obsessed over there.
I mean, it's a proper thing out there. Here, it's sort of half-hearted. A few middle-class families, sort of.
But do you think it'll get more popular here, though, if we do find out that ghosts are about?
Well, that'll never happen because they're not.
No,
okay?
but if they did, then suddenly that would be a big. Well,
America makes things famous now. Because of film culture and everything, so yeah, it's all from that. I doubt we celebrated much at all, did we, 50 years ago? So I think it's crept up.
Certainly over here we didn't, but it's been largely introduced over here through commercial ideas, isn't it? We can sell stuff for
and film and things like that. And but out there they start like weeks and weeks before, and they're decorated like proper. And but I saw a little bakery in Soho, and it didn't look right with cobwebs all over it and spiders on the buns.
Yeah.
But even though it's fake, it's just I don't think you should do it on a bakery. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's a bit creepy.
That surely puts you off the product a little bit.
I always find it a bit depressing. Like last time I remember going into supermarkets and you see sort of these old women who you know, in their 60s, and they're doing this job they don't really want to be doing, but they've been made to dress up
as a hat, I know,
as a witch or as Cinderella, and it just.
Well, they could do it in like a morgue or something, just to sort of
brighten up the place.
Well, just so people aren't that scared.
Imagine that. Imagine you're going to identify your dead relative, and they go, "What's the spiders all over?" It's 31st October.
No,
okay.
But just make it a bit spookier and have a bit of fun with it, and let's not get serious about. You know, like I say, passing on.
Yeah, but those sort of people have to take their job seriously. I remember when my mum died, and I had to go along, and I was talking about what wreath they wanted, and this person, quite rightly, had to turn off their sense of humour in a way, because I suppose they mustn't offend anyone, so I had to. They spoke like that at all times.
Yeah.
At all times. Okay, and what would you like the wreath to say? She was a mother and a grandmother. I went, yeah, mother, grandmother, and what was her name? I said, her name was Eva. I said, and I made a joke. I said, do we get a discount because her name's short? And she went, well, actually, didn't laugh, didn't get that at all. She just went, just answer the question. She went, well, actually, you pay by the letter. I thought, okay, that fell flat. I'll go again. I went, well, a friend used to call her E.
Yeah.
I went, I'm joking. She went, okay. Nothing.
Yeah.
Bad audience. Bad time, bad audience. Tough crowd.
Yeah, Undertaker's never known for their.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. They
laughter.
don't crack jokes, Karl. A friend of mine was trained to be a doctor, and in his first year, when they practiced, they intern at the hospital, he was watching this patient, and two other doctors came in, and I won't say his name. They said, "Can you go and check on Mr. So and So?" He went, "Yeah," and change his drip. So he went in, changed his drip, came back out. The doctors came after about 10 minutes. They came running and said, "What did you do? What did you do?" And they went in there and said, "I just changed the drip." He goes, "Well, he's dead. He's dead." He was going, "I just changed the drip. I did this and that." And they started laughing. He goes, "No, he was dead when we sent you in there."
Yeah. Now, that is almost excusable because it's imperative if you're a doctor
Absolutely.
to become accustomed to the fact that people die and that it's...
Exactly.
You know,
yeah, so they were making a joke about a dead body that means nothing to them other than professionally.
Yeah.
You know, they were getting through it. He thought he'd just murdered someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he thought he just killed someone. But yeah, they have to be desensitised. But they wouldn't do that in front of the relatives. They wouldn't go... I had a laugh earlier with a young intern. When your dad died, we sent him in to change the drip. Didn't even check. It was quite good. Anyway, let's get him out of here.
No, but they do have a laugh. I heard about a doctor who was working on a brain, right? And apparently when they work on the brain, it's best if they keep you awake. Because, you know, just so you can go, that hurts a bit, and they go, "Oh, we best not touch that bit again."
That's the reason, Rick.
Amazing.
That's the reason.
No, there's
amazing.
certain operations, isn't there, where they go, you know, we can knock you out for that, but for this one we want to know.
It's probably because the brain needs to be active in order to...
Yeah, they show
identify the thing.
activity,
But
yeah,
sure, yeah, no,
so
it's
anyway.
actually so you can wake up and go, "Yeah, no, that hurt. That stings. Hell, that stings. Don't pop that in there."
You can't feel anything in the brain anyway. No nerve endings.
Really?
You can't feel it, can you?
Well, maybe there's another reason, but anyway, his head's open. He's sat on this chair. The doctor's going...
I reckon he was laying down.
I thought he was laying down, but in your world he's not. He's sat on a hard-backed...
I think it's more like
chair.
in front of a mirror, like a hairdresser type thing, right? And he's cut the skin off.
So get a bit shorter there.
So he's
So for the weekend, sir? I won't be shagging with no brain.
Anyway, so he's cut the skin off and, you know, chopped a bit. And you're always going to get bits, aren't you? Sort of. Whenever you cut anything, you end up with a bit missing. But anyway, somehow he does the brain stuff. He fixes it. I don't know what he was doing. But
Don't you? You don't know about
the intricacies of brain surgery. That I find perplexing.
So you're not a neurosurgeon? I don't want... Oh, okay,
so they sorted out the problem, right? And he goes, "Right, all we've got to do now is stick the head bit back on."
Yeah.
That's what it's called, by the way, the head bit.
This happened.
Yeah. The head bit's connected to the face bit.
Yeah.
So he sticks...
Nurse, head bit. Doctor, do you need leg bit? Not yet, nurse. Head bit, then leg bit.
So they stuck the head bit back on, and then...
Can you pass me the Sharpie thing?
He was trying to sew it, and he was going, "This isn't fitting, this." He's going, "I don't know." And you know, like, because the patient...
Right, if this turns out that
It's someone else's head.
Or
No.
a toupee from the doctor next to him,
Yeah.
or a cat. Wow!
No, it's-
You've sewn a cat to my brain!
It's none of that. He's trying to sew it, and he's thinking, "Why isn't it fitting?" And he's thinking, is it because the head's swollen? Because, you know, he's been messing about in it, and things swell, don't they, and messed about with. So he's messing with it. He's going, I don't understand this. And he's panicking a bit because the patient's awake and chatting and stuff, and, you know, it's difficult to have a normal chat when you're panicking a little bit.
There's a queue as well. People want their brain done. And they're just reading old copies of magazines. They're going, "Hurry up.
So
I'm going out tonight." Do you want to wash it? No. Just I'll wash it later. Just take it off, do the brain, put it back on.
anyway, what happens is he has to start rummaging.
To start rummaging.
Sort of rummaging.
Rummaging. No! There's no N before the first G. Rummaging.
Well, he starts looking through the... he starts having a look through the bin.
What?
Because he knows he's chucked a bit away of the skin.
Right. Where is this surgery where a bloke's sitting up in front of a mirror and there's a bin? Is there a little basketball ring above the bin as well, so when he throws things it goes through there first?
I'm just saying that's what happened, and you were saying about things that happen, and you've got a joke about it.
So he's rummaging, and what happens?
He said to him, the fellow was starting to sense the nervousness, and he said, "What's going on here?" And he says, "Oh, you're never going to believe it. I've lost a bit of your skin."
Lost a bit of your head, yeah.
I can't.
Why did he cut? I don't understand. Why is there... Why
That's
is it in
what I
two
mean.
bits?
Because things just break up, don't they? It's like chicken. When you see him walking around, everything's in place and it sticks together. You cook it, suddenly it all breaks up.
He cooked his face before he cut it up.
I'm just saying how flesh, it sticks together well.
Yeah, but he'd cooked the scalp before he'd taken it off his head.
No, but
had
it's
he?
just an example of how skin can break up with the muscles and
So
everything.
he's rummaging in the bin, and does he find the head?
He found the bit, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry about that," and he sort of managed to stick it on.
Right, he
and
didn't
stuff.
wash it off or anything.
Yeah, I'm sure he gave it a bit of a rinse. But I'm just saying how
Nonsense.
you've got to make a joke out of stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, it's bollocks.
If you're a doctor.
Okay, that's good.
So where was the joke in that story? At what point I thought this was a story about how doctors have a sense of humour.
Yeah,
when
well,
did he make
at
a
the
joke?
end, they sort of laughed and he sort of said, "Oh, there you go, it's back on." But good job, the bin men didn't come or whatever, and they made a joke out of it.
I've never heard such nonsense. I've never
Carl just
heard
made that
such
joke up.
nonsense. Right, Karl, let's do a competition. Chance to win some of the product that we've got out that Karl doesn't want to talk about because he's too lazy.
No, it's not that. If it's,
Well, if you do want to win a copy of this book, Ricky Gervais presents The World of Karl Pilkington. It's by all three of us, and it's some of the musings and thoughts and ideas from the podcasts. Karl has got some new theories. It's illustrated throughout.
By Karl Pilkington.
By Karl Pilkington. It's got excerpts from the diary. They're genuine, aren't they? They're photostated things from the diary that people haven't seen, and it's fascinating read.
We can sign that. We can also give you a copy of this new 3-disc set CD of the best of... Is it the first series of the Ricky Gervais Show?
Yeah, well, it's got everything, actually. It's got the whole 12 first series that we did with Guardian Unlimited, the award-winning, record-breaking podcast. It's also got some excerpts, if you want the best of, you can put that on. And it's got 1 hour of new material, which we recorded especially for it, but you can't get that. You can't buy that in the shops till the 13th of November. And I'll throw in the new Flanimals book, Flanimals of the Deep. It's the third in the trilogy, Karl. Are you excited about that?
Yeah.
And the question is, do you want them?
Okay, that's the quiz question.
That's the quiz question, yeah.
Okay.
If
Is that
you
a trick question?
No. It's just the first correct answer. I'm
Ah.
not going to give away what the correct answer is, but do you want them? And think if you do want them, then that might what's the answer? And you can send that to
podcast@rickygervais.com. Include your name and address, and if you're the lucky winner, then we will send this stuff to you if you want it.
And it's the first come, first serve. Okay, so the first correct answer to the question: do you want it? Do you want that stuff? Do you want Flanimals and the CD box set and the book and that?
Okay, well, if you know the correct answer to that, podcast@rickygervais.com. Good luck, everyone.
Well, thank you for listening to the first of these 3 special podcasts with Guardian Unlimited. The next one is out for Thanksgiving, 23rd of November.
We don't actually celebrate Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving?
It's a thing in America.
Right.
It's like the big holiday. Probably rivals Christmas. Probably bigger than Christmas.
Well, what do we do here?
But we don't celebrate here, do we?
So it's a date, isn't it?
Yeah, but no one's going to remember that, are they?
23rd of November. They can remember, can't they?
Yeah, but it's nice.
Well, they should remember that's one day before my birthday if we're going to celebrate anything.
Okay. Well, you've got this one. The next one's the 23rd of November, and the next one's the 25th of December. Well, how can I remember 25th of December?
Well,
Christmas.
that's fair enough. That's Christmas, but Thanksgiving we don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Okay. The next one's out about the 23rd of November. Then after that, about the
day before my birthday.
Oh, they're going to remember that, aren't they? It's Steve Day in Bristol. Yeah. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this special edition of the Ricky Gervais Show, the entire back catalogue is still available on iTunes under audiobooks, by the way, not podcasts, audiobooks, and you can get everything we've ever done. I'd like to thank the guys at Positive Internet for hosting this. Those great guys, what would we do without them? So, it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Steve Merchant,
Bye.
and goodbye from Karl Pilkington.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
As we've discussed, is more of everything. So
I thought there was fruit juices in.
yeah, but what
stuff.
I mean, when people were thirsty, it was like, well, have water. They didn't go, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? I'm just saying they had
Yeah.
it for a purpose as opposed to something for the taste buds. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so this town, right? It was in the middle of nowhere somewhere.
Yeah. It's the detail that makes the story, isn't it? The pinpoint accuracy of detail. So it was a while ago, and it was in a town somewhere. Brilliant.
In the middle of nowhere.
And what used to happen is barrels used to appear, right? These sort of, do you know like how they have wooden barrels, that beer and that comes in?
Right.
One of those used to just be in this village, and everyone who lived there was used to this sort of drink that used to crop up, right? Well, because they were used to it, they didn't question it. It was kind of like, yeah, it's what happens if you live here.
Sorry, so I don't understand. So what's in the barrel? It's a barrel in the town square.
Well, it's this drink. Right?
And so it's not water.
It's not water.
It's a mysterious other drink.
Well, I'll tell you now. It's like a fruit drink.
Okay.
And back then, I mean, I speak to my mum, and she didn't have a banana till she met me dad, and they were made up of fruit.
Sorry, is that a euphemism?
I don't know what that means.
No, but what I mean is
he came a calling with a banana, with a bunch of bananas instead of some flowers.
No, but what I'm saying is, it was like a fruit drink, and for years and years, people didn't drink fruit. It was an eating thing. Do you know what I mean? It was an eating thing.
It was an eating.
Yeah,
what,
it was. You're thirsty, have some water. What? You're hungry? Have a banana. Have an orange.
Sure, but the idea of combining the two, crazy.
They never used them in that way. So anyway.
So a mysterious fruit-based drink is turning up mysteriously in this town for years. No one questions it. No one thinks. They just think
fruits in that area. I'm sure, like in
Here come the little man.
No, but in the same way that in Scotland they'll have fried Mars bars and that.
Yeah.
They don't bat an eyelid at that. Yet when we go there,
well, no, they didn't appear mysteriously. Did
they didn't just appear one day.
I assume they go to the newsagents, then take it home and pop it in some batter.
But what I'm saying is they don't think anything's odd about that. But as time goes on, people have started travelling more, haven't they?
Ooh.
And you have
visitors sort of came in to the town, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm a bit thirsty. Have you got any water?" And they were like, "I don't have water. Have some of that in that barrel." And they were like, "What's that?" And they go, "Oh, it's a drink." So they had it, and it was really like refreshing. They were like, "What is this?" And they said, "Don't really know. It just crops up."
Of course they did.
No,
it's what it's what you get if you live here. It's part of living here.
Right.
So they were like, "Brilliant. Do you sell this?" And no, they don't just sell it. We don't even know where it comes from. Just have some whilst you're here.
We don't even know where it comes from.
No,
so the thing is, this helped the town out.
That's before the monkey appears. This shit.
Yeah.
So all these people are enjoying the drink. Word gets out, and it went on for a couple of years, but they say it travels fast, doesn't it? If it's good news, it travels. If it's good news or bad news, it travels fast.
Yeah.
So news travels fast.
Yeah, just news. Yeah, news just does. So anyway, so some
fucking monkey news doesn't. This has taken half an hour.
So some big business fella who was on holiday in
any specifics?
He was from Chicago.
Right.
Oh,
and he flew
How tall was he?
Hold on though. So this is after Chicago was founded.
Right. Yeah, Chicago was knocking about.
Oh, they had loads of drinks then.
Yeah,
they had
alcoholic.
Coffee, tea, alcohol. They had every drink under the sun.
Yeah, but not like
every drink under the sun.
Not like,
apple juice, grape juice, ciders, wines. So
he came in.
Oh, if Chicago was founded. Then,
he came in.
Yeah, probably 19th century. Oh, there's loads of shit about.
And he was saying, this drink you've got here, he said, it's good stuff, you know. He said, whose is it? And they said, well, it just appears and what have you. And they said, well, that's a bit odd. So anyway, he got a bit annoyed with it because he wanted to take it back with him to Chicago. He knew there was an audience for this.
Well, yeah, because they got bored of tea, coffee, all the other drinks and
that. Yeah.
So he waited at night.
They've been around for years.
Waited behind a truck.
A truck. Oh, so
we're in a motorised age.
Oh, so at least 1890 something. I'd have thought.
And he saw this little fella bring the barrel out.
How little was the fella?
It's hard to tell in the dark, and they were quite far away. And the barrels, you know, it's hard to work out.
Yeah. He was short; his arms were long.
So they followed him in, right, and saw what was going on.
Okay.
Like how it was being made. And they said, you know what, we can have a go at making this ourselves. And what happened in the end, they tried to imitate it in Chicago. There was a orangey tang, right?
It was made by an orangutan, wasn't it?
And do you know grapefruit juice? They had like ape fruit juice that they were good at crushing the fruit with the feet and what have you. And that's how them two.
So it was great ape fruit drink.
Yeah.
Which probably got abbreviated over time.
Ape fruit juice.
No, it was great ape fruit juice. It was because it tasted great.
That is a load of shit, Karl.
That is why we stopped doing it.
Well, here we are, number 5 in a series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
hello there,
and Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Well, Karl, you are officially a published author. Your book came out, The World of Karl Pilkington, and a copy will go in the British Library.
Will it?
Well, they have to take every rubbish. I think it'll go in the British Library lavatory. From what I understand, it'll be in there with like a collection of like novelty postcards and maybe a Viz compendium. You know.
Yeah, so they take everything. Just think of that.
But is that a rule they set up when books were more important to people? And now it's kind of like, oh, I wish we never said we'd do that.
Well, they have to add 2 miles of shelves every year, apparently.
That's what I mean. Now, surely, you know, they change a lot of other rules, don't they? They used to allow people having their head cut off. And now they've gone, we shouldn't do that anymore, so we'll sort that. Why don't they just say, only so many books a year, make it in there? Ones that are important to the future.
But who knows what's important to the future?
Well, you know, normally, when I say something that I think's a good point...
but you're always wrong.
No, but what I mean is when I say something that I think I have got a point there...
Yeah, but you're always wrong.
But why do they do this? Why do they think they've got to keep everything? Because we're living in a world now where everything is sort of binnable. And, you know, we use stuff for what it is.
Well,
I think you could say that.
That's fine, that's fine.
There was a sort of poetry to it, but I think he stumbled across that. I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't got over last week him saying foodage.
Do you know what I mean, though? That the world's changed, so why is that rule still hanging around when...
Well, it's not a rule. I mean, it's not a rule that, you know, the country's going to, you know, live and die by. It's just that it is seen as a repository for knowledge, for information. And I don't believe any old Joe can wander in there and get one of these books. I think you have to either be a scholar. I think maybe it's open for a brief window for students. But, you know, you couldn't just wander in there and see your own book, Karl. You know,
there are some books that they have to turn the page for you in gloves, so the amino acids...
I'd hate that.
With yours, it won't matter. They just go, it's over there, or they throw it to you.
No, it's just...
Or they slide it along the floor.
Well, they say, oh, I can't give it to you, Karl, because it's propping up this desk.
Yeah, they kick it to you and say, put it in the bog when you're finished with it.
It's just that thing of being timed, though. I hate it when people go, oh, have you read this? And then I can't read it properly because I'm thinking they're thinking I'm taking ages here. Do you know what I mean? So I have to scan read it. And I go, oh, it's good, that. And they go, what do you think? And I go, oh, about what? So I hate the fact that someone stood there with gloves on, because that isn't normal, relaxing sort of reading, is it?
But it's not. You don't go in to read the Doomsday Book, let's say, in order to just have a relaxing read. You're going in there to study
they're
it, historically.
Say they're professors and scholars and scientists and historians. They don't wander in because it's raining and they go, what's a good read?
There's not a man wearing white gloves turning the pages of the latest Jackie Collins.
No, exactly. Do you have heat?
Watching your lips move as you read to see if you should turn the next page.
I suppose I shouldn't really feel guilty, because at the end of the day, right, I mean, people always rave about Shakespeare, saying, oh, you know, his work was good. But
brilliant.
At the same time...
He'll probably put that on the book when he brings another one out. He'll put your review on it. Yeah. Oh, that was good. Karl Pilkington.
But at the same time, you know, like, some people will have a go. I'm ready for people having a go, like that Wendy did about My Little Films Are Made. There's always people...
Wendy Robinson?
Yeah, you know...
It's her opinion.
For those of you who didn't hear last week, she slammed Karl.
No, well, you know, each to their own and that. And, you know, if everyone liked the same thing, I don't know what we'd do. Right?
Sure.
You don't know anything.
So all I'm saying is, everybody raves about Shakespeare. When, if you properly looked at what he did, he invented a lot of swearing words, right? Effing and jeffing and that. Now,
that was one of his.
Well, it's effing and jeffing part 2. Did he make up a great deal of swear words? I don't know that I'm aware of this.
A lot of them are Shakespeare invented. But all I'm saying is, for some reason, when things are brought out years ago, people say they're good even though they're not, is what I mean.
But let's not mistake the fact that Shakespeare is not... He's not... people seem to confuse him as though they think he wrote these things in order to be read. He wrote them to be performed. They're plays. They're not books in the traditional sense. He didn't bring out the latest book.
No, but just when something's old, it gets a bit more respect, is what I mean. When I was watching that documentary about the real Indiana Jones,
brilliant.
They dug out some rocks with drawings on, and they were like, "Oh, don't damage them, don't mark the paint," and it's like, it's rubbish. It was like a stick fella with a yak. And now, if that was found now, or if a kid showed me that, I'd go, hey, it's not that good. So what I mean is, because stuff's old stuff gets respect.
But you're not judging it on its aesthetic merits. You're judging it on its historical importance.
I don't think that's fair, though, because when that fella drew that, it wasn't old. He did it when he was knocking about.
No,
Yes,
but you must see the difference between you doing a stick man on a wall with a bit of chalk near your local and a cave painting that they date to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, so in 10,000 years' time, when they find my story about the monkey fireman, will it gain more respect then than it is now?
No, less.
But why is it?
Because people will more and more realise what a buffoon you are. The more research we do, the more these podcasts we do, the more you expose yourself as an empty, egg-headed moron.
That's a friend speaking right there, Ricky Gervais.
No,
He loves you like a brother.
I just think you've mentioned him before, Steve. This Peeps fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Peeps,
Well,
is what you're thinking, isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Peeps wasn't a writer predominantly. I
Right.
believe he was, like a bureaucrat or something. But he kept a diary which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
What did he say in it? Well, it's again more because it's both well written and it's also an amazing insight
a social
into
document
a social
as well.
document. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a social document.
I
of
mean,
that
yours
period.
is a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a calf and seeing a ladybird, which, you know...
But that's today's living. That's
Well,
what I'm saying,
but his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's most.
Yeah,
it's
but
best
we haven't
remembered
had
for.
one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. The ladybird happened, right? I wrote it down. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
So you're a little angered that you've not witnessed one of the great disasters.
Because the thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention. I mean, okay, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any. But it doesn't mention any. It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq,
But I don't
terrorism.
need
It doesn't
to
mention
now.
anything.
But that's all being wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it?
What do you mean the fellow whose skulls fell off?
Well, that's what happened the other week, so I wrote about it.
What?
A fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean his skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell
Well,
off?
it's in the diary. We
But
might
how
look
can
at
a
the diary.
skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull? How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding
Dunno.
He
it?
mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Good point, Steve.
I don't.
All
know
right. Well,
what's
let me
anything
just.
based on.
I'll just consult the diary quickly and find the moment with the man whose skull fell off. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat.
Yeah.
He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight.
Yeah.
There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at the head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
It
How are
hasn't-
scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of go.
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. Then it would be of interest to us. We could.
But I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
God. You're such an idiot. You are the best idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than they're worth.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly, because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them. You won't have any of that, as long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out. It'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. It wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying.
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying I don't want to go on about evolution and stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people. I mean, you're looking at me like that. Why do you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said.
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Karl kind of, I mean, you can almost imagine it looking at Karl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's you know, if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, and you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is get rid
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day and underpants and a vest and I don't know.
No, but once they're on, I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing. It's like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on you.
I love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail growing out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
What's good with it is everybody's got one of these.
But it's not going to happen, Karl.
And the most important thing in your body, apart from the heart, is your brain. So protect that, not the toes. The toes we can get by without the toes.
People.
But your head's important, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff in your head. And I know all this just after seeing the Bodyworks thing. I went to see it's a show on where there's a load of like dead bodies and that. And you can see how much stuff's in the body. And there's loads of stuff. There's nothing in there that you don't need. It's all doing stuff. Everything in your body.
We've been telling you that for years.
But you reckon you don't need the toenails?
Yeah, that's on the outside. I'm saying everything that's on the inside of your body, right?
You don't need the appendix.
No, but doesn't that depend on what lifestyle you have?
Well, it's a hangover of when we probably ate a lot more cellulose, and it's.
Yeah, well, they might come back. Things are always coming back, aren't they? So if people start eating them again.
What about male nipples?
Sort of looks all right though, doesn't it? Because the chest is quite plain, so with nothing on it, you'd go, oh, what's this? It just balances it out. I think it looks all right. I think it works. So leave it. But what were we talking about?
But wouldn't you rather have maybe a little like a rib cage around the testicles? Because you get a whack in them and it
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not an invention, Karl. It's not an invention, and we can't do it. But
would you be able to sit down still? Because that's the good thing with them at the moment is movement. So it sort of works. But don't they say they said something about testicles at the Bodyworks thing?
Well, they're on the outside.
Put yours away, Karl. You're not one of the exhibits.
They're on the outside because they have to be a few degrees below body temperature for the Sertoli cells to
so
work.
That's an odd design that they had to go there because it's a bit of an odd place to have them.
Where would you suggest? Dangling from the throat?
Sort of.
I want to redesign you, right? You can possibly do this now. This is something you can actually do, probably. You could probably have your testicles anywhere. So where would you want them?
You've got a giant forehead nail.
Yeah. You could have that. It probably wouldn't grow, but we could certainly have that.
I just mean like, because if all it's about is temperature, you don't want to get them too hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting hot down there because you're wearing pants and what have you. So have them nearer to the outside of the body.
Well, they are on the outside of the body.
No, but we wear pants over them.
So you wear pants over them because they're testicles, and polite society suggests that you don't show your testicles.
Yeah, well, that's the odd thing, isn't it? That's what's happened somehow. That we've said testicles shouldn't be seen.
Well, then just cut a hole in your trousers. If it's only about keeping them cool, and because they're too hot, why don't you just hang them out your shorts?
Because there's too many sort of seats that are shared these days, isn't there? But what I'm saying is,
well, what are you saying?
Where would you put them?
Somewhere like sort of under the ears, so it sort of just looks like lobes.
So you would redesign your body to have a pair of testicles hanging from your ears.
And when people are sometimes talking, they do sort of mess with their ears, and they're always saying check for lumps. More handy.
Does the penis remain where it is at the
moment? Leave that where it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, Rick, but I would love to see, perhaps on the web, it's very easy to put stuff on web pages now, some kind of illustration, could be computer generated, could be drawn by hand, of the new model Karl. Bear in mind, people, that he's got some testicles underneath his ears.
And a big thumbnail on his forehead.
Big thumbnail on his forehead.
Talking to Karl, I want to see Karl's head everywhere. It's the roundness that I like, okay? So do a viral campaign. Anyone out there with a picture of Karl, just get it everywhere. Because I want eventually everyone to, as they walk past him in the street, to shout, "You shaved monkey," or "Look at that bald head," or "Look at fucking coconut face coming this way. You got a head like a fucking orange."
Went out the other night with the lads. There's a few of us, young, free and single.
Must look like the Swingers.
Oh, it was pretty. It looked like a boy band had gone out. It looked like,
really?
It looked like NSYNC had hit the streets.
Right, yeah.
We'd dressed up, togged up, out for a few drinks. A friend of mine said, "Let's go to a club." Right, I haven't been to a nightclub for a long time. Actually, I haven't been.
Is that because your glasses steam up when you walk in out of the cold?
That is a problem in the winter. It's very difficult to make a good impression when as you walk in, your glasses steam up straight away, and you got to take them off and clean them and stuff. And then, you get a bit dirty.
On your white fronts, you pull your white fronts up through the jeans, clean them on that.
Or the back of a girl's dress. But we cruised down to the club. It's one of those big sort of super clubs, London super clubs. Never been in one of those, the Ministry or any of those things, so it was all new. And it's a bit of a queue. I think it's a bit of a chore. But we're queuing up, we're in good spirits, we're looking at it. It sounds pretty funky, we can hear the music coming out. Been in the queue for quite a while, 20, 25 minutes.
Forget it, 25 minutes.
Well, yeah, we were pretty excited by this point. The doorman says, "Hello, lads." I said, "Yeah, we're coming, please." He went, "No, you're not."
Really?
What? He said, "You're not coming in." And he just immediately lifted the little rope and sent us away from the queue, right? And we were slightly perplexed. We were dumbfounded. We didn't know what to do. It was like this couldn't be happening. It didn't make sense. We just queued up what was going on. And so my friend said, "Well, we got to find out why he's not going to let us in." So he goes back over.
I thought you wanted to do. You wanted to tie him up with logic. That'll show a bouncer.
Exactly.
Yeah, show him how educated you are and how you can win an argument and make him look stupid. You'll be in that club in no time.
That's what they appreciate. They love that. Because what they respect is being made to look like a fool.
Yeah, exactly.
So we went over and...
They really look up to intellectuals.
Exactly, yeah. So one of our mates goes over and he says, "Why didn't you let us in?" And he went, "Because you didn't have any girls with you." Now, I'll tell you this. That's kicking you when you're down. Because when you're out on a Saturday night trying to get into a club to meet women, and the reason you're not allowed to go in a club to meet women is because you haven't got any women with you, that's just salt in the wound. It's so humiliating. So, a friend of mine says that there's a VIP entrance over there. And there was like a woman with a clipboard, the guest list. Separate entrance. She said, "You've got a little bit of profile, Steve. Why don't we try and use your..."
You ran home, got your Golden Globe and your Emmy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always carry, some of my cuttings with me.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit self-conscious about that. I was thinking, I'm not into this, it's a bit awkward. But he said, "Look, don't worry, you just stand here. Just stand here, just like you're having a conversation. I'll go over, I'll point him out, I'll go, there's Steve Merchant over there, the office, or whatever."
Oh, God! Steve.
So I thought, well, the thing is, we were out, and I was a bit frustrated, and I thought, we may as well try everything. So I stand there, if my friend goes over and he has a word, and he comes back and he says, it's fine. She can't let us in the VIP entrance because she's not allowed, but what she can do is walk us to the front of the queue, right? You can walk in front of the queue and explain. So I think, okay, fine.
Oh, God.
So the guy takes me and my mates, right, this girl, she takes us, we walk past everyone else, right, to the front of the queue, right? She goes up to the guy, she says, this is Steve Merchant, office. The guy goes, I know who he is, we're not letting him in.
Oh, God! Oh, God!
By now, of course, some people have recognised me, so they're trying to have my photo taken. So there's people inside the line that's being allowed in the club. I've got to lean across the rope to have my photo taken with them, even though I'm not allowed in the club. So they go, oh, all right, this is Steve, they're having the photos taken, right, camera phones and that. They're going into the club where the party's kicking off. I'm outside waiting for the next chump who wants to have his photo taken. I mean, it was mental. So,
that's unbelievable.
I was furious, and then one guy, I remember he was chatting, and he goes, oh, yeah, brilliant, I love the podcast and all that stuff. Is Karl with you? I said, oh, Karl's not out here. And his girlfriend was with me, she went, who's that? And he went, oh, it's just Steve Merchant, he does the office, he does the thing. And she went, who cares? Who are you, Bruce Forsyth? And it's that thing when suddenly I'm being humiliated and embarrassed by someone's girlfriend. I never asked for that. I never asked for her opinion on me. I'm sorry if I don't impress you, if I'm not sufficiently famous for you, but it's not my fault. It's your boyfriend who brought it up. It was like I'd gone over to her and tried to show off, and she was annoyed. So by now I was just furious.
Oh,
so
God.
I thought, forget this.
Well, I was walking down the street, and there's a group of builders sitting down having a cup of tea. One of them goes, all right, Rick. I went, all right, mate. The other one went, not as fat as on telly. I went, oh, thanks. Not as fat as on telly. So he went with, well, you are fat, but you look even fatter on telly. He didn't say, oh, God, you don't look fat at all, or, oh, you look big on telly, but you don't look fat. Just went with, not as fat as on telly. And there's nothing I could say, but cheers, mate.
Now, when you said cheers, mate, did you say that because you were... Because I'd say cheers, mate, because I'd be a little bit scared of them.
No, it was like sarcasm, and I laughed after. Yeah.
So you can get away with sarcasm with working class blokes.
I'm a little bit more secure with a working class male than you, aren't I?
I'm terrified of them. I feel like they're going to turn on me at any minute.
You don't feel confident, sort of backing in a lorry driver.
Terrified.
Oh right.
Because if I did, he'd probably lean out and just go and get your dad, mate.
Yeah, not you.
Fuck off. I'm not interested.
Not you. Yeah.
So the final stab is this guy says there's a party I know of going on, right? Oh, blinking hell. So we go down to this party. Right, as we're getting there, as we're about to go in, he goes, now you know it's a singles party. I thought, oh, what? He says, you know it's a singles party. Oh, God. So I go in this party, right, it's all single people, right? Now, theoretically, that should be brilliant, right, if you're a singleton yourself. It's the worst kind of party to go to, because when you normally go to a party, right, and you're chatting to a girl, and she says, oh, I got to go and get a drink or whatever, you think, oh, she's probably got a boyfriend or whatever, or she's with mates, that's fair enough. But when you're at a singles party, and a woman says, I'm just going to go and get a drink, and then you just see her leaving, you realise it's not because she's got a boyfriend or whatever, it's just because she doesn't want to talk to you.
You can't even kid yourself.
You can't even pretend.
Oh,
and you
dear.
suddenly sense everyone judging everyone else. So you see a girl and she'll look at you up and down, and then ignore you and walk on. And it's like a massive slap in the face. It's like girls coming up to you and going, not interested. Just by being there, they don't have to say anything and they're rejecting you. And so anyway, one of my friends has been reading this book, The Game, right, by this guy called Neil Strauss, which is sweeping a certain part of the population because it is one of those books written on how to meet women and seduce women, right? And there's this guy called Neil Strauss who infiltrated a sort of secret organisation in America of blokes who've got all these various seducing techniques, right? And one of the techniques which we've been discussing is something called negging, where if you see a very attractive woman, the theory is that she's getting asked out all the time by blokes, right? They're always coming up and saying, oh, you're really beautiful, can I buy you a drink? And that what you have to do to set yourself away from the pack is to sort of not be so obviously complimentary. So you come up and you almost sort of pay her a backhanded compliment, or you almost neg, as they say something slightly negative. So what you might say is you might go up to her and say, oh, I like your shoes. I've seen another girl wearing them in the club, right? And the theory is that she's sort of, she's a bit taken aback, she's a bit sort of thrown off, and then, of course, you start complimenting her, and you start building her back up again. It's very elaborate mind games. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but we've been talking about the neg, and I was chatting to a girl, and I was a little bit drunk, and I wasn't thinking it through, and I thought about the neg because it wasn't going very well. But I don't think you should say to a girl, I think your ears are a bit too big for your head. Because, like, you know what I mean? It's like you can't come back from that. And there's nowhere else to go, because that really is just an insult.
Oh, he's only gone and listened it down the little fucking car.
That jingle, of course, signifying yet another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. As always, packed with rich insight into the man's mind. Had a late night last night because I stayed up to watch a programme about monkeys.
It's already good.
Of course he did.
It's already good.
Now, before I read on, I mean, is this not some kind of monkey news? Is this not a late return to monkey news?
Well, it's not that good.
Is it not? Whereas the other monkey news is...
Oh, chimpanzee, that's some more shit!
This is what he says. This is what he gleaned from the programme about monkeys. It sat on a bridge and wanted stuff off people to walk over the bridge.
What?
So it was acting as some kind of toll booth,
This
was
is
it?
ridiculous.
No, it was a bridge in like the jungle.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And it's a monkey that sat on a bridge, and a lot of tourists go through the area.
No, it's a monkey
to look at them.
who realised that if he sits there, he'll get stuff because it look like it's a cute little chimp begging.
No, but every time.
Yeah, because you give a monkey, I'm as bad as him now. If you give a chimpanzee a banana, and he starts realising that humans have things to give.
Yeah, but it's all
squirrels
sorts of
learn
stuff.
that. But you don't go, you wouldn't say, went to the park, the squirrels waiting at the gate. You have to give them a toll to go in. They're only good if you give them nuts. They come up to you every time. You fucking idiot.
Went to bed after watching it and fell asleep thinking about it on the bridge right now. It's a bit bad, really, because the monkey should work harder for its food. It made me remember the slug I saw yesterday that was eating bird poo. Nobody would ever help a slug with food like they do with ducks and monkeys. A slug's life is pretty bad. The only time they come out of their den is when it's raining.
Den.
So even their days out are depressing.
It is. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It is like... It's a horrible thing to be, innit? A slug.
I love him talking about what is it like to be a slug.
No, just because, like, the monkey, even though it's been quite aggressive, everyone was like, oh, give it some water. And it was well, like, kitted out. It had, like, you know, chocolate bars, bottled water, some, like, you know, fizzy stuff, and all that.
An iPod, it was listening to Monkey News.
It could have had one if it wanted one. It was getting away with murder on that bridge. And that's just because it was furry. Yeah, if that was like a blob, like a slug, there's no way people would be that friendly towards it. And it just annoys me how you get this pecking order for, like, no matter what creature you are, favouritism. And that slug was only eating that bird poo because it wasn't being offered stuff.
If it was offered toffees or whatever.
Well, it's just sad, isn't it? It's come to that. That's where its life has come to.
Yeah, but it's not
And it
as
was
mollusk
raining, like
that's
I say.
down on its fucking luck.
It didn't live in a big country house,
No,
and his
but
wife
it
left
is.
it. The
I
kids
was
went. It started hitting the
watching
bottle.
it, and I kind of thought, and look, they do only come out in the rain, and it's depressing, and it'll probably get killed in a bit. And that was its last meal. I just
Last meal.
people
But it
don't
wouldn't
care.
prefer steak and chips, Carl. It
No,
doesn't
but a
have.
leaf. It must like a leaf or you know. At the end of the day, it's an insect. They love a
It's
leaf.
not an insect.
Well, it's part of that gang. It's part of that. No, it's part of
They
that.
hang out together. They hang out
It's not.
together.
Why do you think it's part of that
Because
gang?
it knocks about in the woods in the same place as a spider does. But what I'm saying is they're eating boring stuff because that is what's
It's
in
not
their
boring
area.
stuff to them. They're not. I have no opinion of it at all. They take in sustenance.
No, but where you are is what you eat. When I'm in London, I'll have beans on toast for lunch. On holiday, what? Tapas? Go on, I'll have a bit. So it's whatever you eat, what's in that area.
Suzanne went off to work and I went to the shop to buy some envelopes. The shop was empty, but the fella behind the counter was on the phone and just kept talking even though he could see I was waiting. I started to count backwards from 20. When I got to 6, he hung up and served me. I won't use the shop again. Question, why count backwards from 20?
So he's thinking, what's going to happen at 1? If I start counting from 1, he's going, well, let him carry on.
What, out loud?
So, not really loud, but like more of a mouth action so he could see I was doing it. Do you know, like
Sorry, you just started miming counting backwards to a man in a shop.
He's on the phone. The
Yes.
shop is empty. I
Yes.
thought he'd like me custom. he could have served me and stay on the phone. Even though I don't like that, at least he's still doing what he needs to do.
I'd have said,
working the
sorry,
shop.
can I just get these, please?
Yeah. Well, I stood there and I thought, it's annoying me now. My kidneys aching, and I started to get a bit of a sweat on. So I thought, right, I'm going to give him 20 seconds, and if he hasn't got off the phone, I'm leaving. And when I got to about 6, he served me. What's wrong with that? Again,
you are
giving
one
yourself,
of the strangest people.
It's just giving yourself a thing. I could have been stood there for
Free.
ages.
He's one of the strangest people who's free to walk
It's
the
about,
streets.
No, I set myself a little target, and I thought, I don't want to waste another 30 seconds in here. I'll give him 20. It worked. He served me at 6.
But it didn't work. Yeah, but did he do it because you were doing that, or did he finish his phone call?
I don't know. I was busy counting.
Looked at what's been going on in the world. There was a human head attached to a seagull's body in a jar.
Is that all it says?
This is the sort of weird stuff that goes on behind surgery doors. I doubt it ever flew because the head would have been too heavy.
Well, of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't live.
No, but they try this stuff, don't they? That's like that programme I watched with a
Well,
monkey's head
who
on.
has ever tried to put a human head on a seagull's body?
They've done loads of stuff like that. It's part of us moving on, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
I'm not going
Carl?
to get into an argument about
Well,
science
you're
because
wrong.
it's all
Don't
behind
talk
closed doors.
shit.
How do you think we can change a heart now from another body? You have to try things out. It's trial and error. All sorts of weird stuff goes on in hospitals, but we let it happen because it's to help us out in the long run, isn't it?
But what are they aiming towards when they're going to find out if you can put a head on a seagull's body? What is that? What are they want to learn, and how do they want to apply that knowledge? A new heart, it is obviously for a reason. It saves a life.
Yeah,
What is this to save money on transport? Instead of getting a bus pass, you go, can I put my head on a seagull's body? I go, well, it won't work. Well, try it.
Yeah, but there is odd things like that. Like I saw a fish the other day, right? And honestly, it's the weirdest thing. It was just like a blob with a face. Now, I would never have said, yeah, let that swim about. I'd have killed it from day dot. I would have gone, get rid of that.
Oh, God! Under what circumstances would you have killed that from day dot?
I'm just saying, looking at it, I'd say that does not work. And it looked sad. It looked like it didn't want to be about.
Have you got her number?
Oh, God! Oh, God! Well, that's it for another week. The end of episode 5. One more to go in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show. We'd love you to buy Karl's book because it is genuinely interesting and funny as a just as a social experiment to see that it proves Karl's theory wrong that a monkey can write a book. So it's bye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little shaven monkey that is Karl Pilkington. Hello and welcome to number 4 in the series of 6, season 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Hello.
and Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry to do this, but me and Steve have got to bring something up that's been bugging us for a couple of weeks now, but it's reached. You are so fucking lazy, Karl, at the moment. You have time off. Right, you go away every weekend, so me and Steve are so precious at the moment with so many things to do, with extras and books coming out and stuff. I've never heard anyone whinge about going in with kidney stones. I know loads of people that had kidney stones.
Not like
They've
mine.
had no. You say not like that because they've had the operation. I know people that had their appendix out, right, an actual under the knife operation, and he was back at work the next day, and he had a bit of a sore side. But you have whinged now for weeks and weeks. Everything you say, oh, I've had this. Oh, I've got to go in again. But you're still well enough to go away every weekend to see your folks or your in-laws,
this is the
or
problem.
or holiday. And it's just, we are so. Sometimes you've got to pull together, mate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you say keep a diary, and you said make sure you do a diary for a year.
Yeah.
If I didn't go and visit people and travel the world, what would I do in it?
Carl, I read your diary every week. All you seem to do is spend time in a cafe, having a cup of tea and a bit of breakfast.
That's the
Who
weekend. That's
are
when
you
people
constantly
do stuff.
visiting?
Anyway, let's not argue.
You don't even
People
like
want
your
to wear
family,
that
I
arguing.
thought.
It's not my family, is it?
Well,
Suzanne's family.
You don't like
at
anyone.
work.
Why are you visiting?
But you say
them?
I'm working that weekend. I'm working that weekend. We have to put. So what? Let's put this in first. You know, it's a busy time.
Family's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't keep messing people.
But this is all you have to do.
What
No,
else are
there's
you
lots of
doing? What
Is
other
it-
job have you got?
Loads of
You know.
stuff. I don't want to go into what I'm doing, but I've got loads
But
of
all I
stuff.
hear is you're
Well,
always having meetings.
I
You're
know,
always
yeah.
going from meetings.
Yeah, I know, yeah,
I don't know what that
yeah,
means,
yeah,
meetings.
yeah.
Right, anyway.
Another meeting in a bloody cafe.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
well,
no, seriously though. So you've been on your travels. You've got lots to talk about. So
yeah, I've got to go in hospital again as well, haven't I? So,
What's your current state with your old...
I don't want to go on about it.
Well, no, I mean, you've brought it up.
you're fine. You're well enough to go away. You're well enough to go on holiday. You're well enough to visit people. You went on a train. You went to Manchester. You must be well enough. So you're well enough to do this.
I went back to Bristol at the weekend. I had a bit of time off, as you know,
Nice.
because Carl couldn't do the work.
I know.
That's what I mean.
yeah.
So we all had a nice
No,
time.
well,
No, I didn't. I went to Bristol when I was working.
That's all right. But
Well,
he's
exactly.
still visiting a place, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's a ridiculous thing to say. That's like saying a pilot doesn't work because he's visiting a place.
No, because he doesn't visit it. He
No,
doesn't
you
get out
sit
the
down
plane.
on your arse. Sometimes you hire a car, so you can't be reading or studying. You're driving for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I went there working. We went to America. We were working. I went to Bristol. I was working.
Oh, shut up.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
Getting a bit uppity.
The truth hurts, Stephen.
The truth does hurt, and it's interesting that
Yeah.
he suddenly snapped at you there.
I know.
Because I wondered to myself, if it weren't for you, Mr. Ricky Gervais, what would this man, this little round-headed man, be doing right now?
Fuck all, Stephen. Fuck all.
Yeah, I went back to Bristol at the weekend. As we know, we all had a bit of time off. And actually, I was quite annoyed because I passed the pub near where my parents live, and they had a band on. You know, pubs sometimes have a band on. And the name of the band, I'm disappointed that I missed them. The name of the band, Rick, was Loose Change. But what I like about Loose Change is it's the least evocative name for a band, isn't it?
It's
not
amazing.
sexy. It's nothing. It's got no kind of mood or feel to it at all.
Loose change.
It's
Welcome. Rough outline.
yeah.
It's just nothing.
The checkbook stubs.
Pocket fluff.
yeah. But while I was at my parents' house, they often they keep clippings of things. You know, if we've been mentioned in the papers, they like to keep a record of them and stuff because I like to show it to my grandparents. You know, and keep fully abreast of things. And I managed to find a couple of them. This was what I don't know if you've heard this, Karl. It's, for people who don't realise, Karl was making a couple of little 3-minute TV projects recently that were on Channel 4, and in the Sunday Times, someone's written a letter about Karl to the Sunday Times.
Wow.
They can send in comments and views on things they've seen, read, heard.
Oh, excellent.
And this is what someone wrote to the Sunday Times.
Oh.
Who is Karl Pilkington? And why have I just wasted 5 minutes of my life listening to some of his cretinous thoughts on Channel 4? He asked, why are there so many dinosaurs on display in museums? Quotes, couldn't they just choose the best one and just show that? He summed it all up by deciding that we know too much. Somebody clearly doesn't know enough to know that this is a complete waste of airtime, showing no wit, intellect or creativity. That's from Wendy Robinson in Berkshire.
You can't have your critics. You know what I mean?
You've got to have your critics.
Of course you have. If everybody liked what you did, then you're not doing the right thing.
She wasted 5 minutes, and they were 3-minute wonders, so it must have felt
Yeah.
2/3 as long again.
But think how angry she must have been to have bothered writing this letter to the Sunday Times.
Well, that's good.
I mean,
though.
you
It's made a
really must
decent-
have...
It's all about getting people thinking. That's what I always say to you. As long as I'm getting people thinking about what I've said, she remembered what I said.
But what views did you put out in these short films which you feel people perhaps should be talking about, discussing, digesting, thinking about?
Just stuff that was in my head that day when I was filming them.
Yeah.
Is it in your head now?
Some of it is. Now you've remembered me what I said.
Now you've what?
Now you've sort of told me what I said in that one. Yeah, I remember saying that.
Yeah.
And I stick by it.
Remember him some other stuff?
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, right? This, if I don't know if Wendy's, listened to this, but
Almost certainly not.
but listen, right? I was saying about the museums, right, and how they're big and everything, and they've
Brilliant.
got dinosaurs all over the shop. I read that in that museum, they've got something like 7 million bits of stuff in there, right? Now, when I spend 2 hours in somewhere, just show me the good stuff. Don't be saying we've got 7 million bits. because there was a fella who opened it. Right, I did a bit of research on the museum. Fella who opened the museum up.
And what was his name?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, does it?
What museum was it?
It was the London one.
Oh, the London one, yeah. Okay.
So he's in there and he's collecting all this, bits of stuff.
What stuff?
Just whatever's knocking about at that
Oh,
time.
right, okay.
It seemed like
You have researched it.
he never chucked anything away. He's like, I won't put it in the bin, pop it on a shelf.
Okay,
right? So
yeah.
he's put everything on a shelf in
right,
this museum. Then as time
I
went
think you're
on,
going into too much detail, but just give us the gist of it.
No, but all I'm saying is he keeps everything, and if you keep everything, sometimes it'll be good stuff, right? And a lot of the stuff was going missing, the good stuff. But people who set these museums up Carmen, he was pocketing all sorts of fingers and stuff in his pockets on the way out. That had rings on them and stuff. So all I'm saying is, why is she having a go?
But
She's
hang on,
learned
wait,
something.
what's that got to do with someone pocketing? I don't understand your point.
Because she's sort of moaning at me, going, "Don't have a go at the museum and the dinosaurs." But
No,
everybody,
she's having a go at your fatuous point.
Yeah, your absolutely uneducated,
But, I mean,
stupid point that you got TV time to talk absolute shit. If I could
that's not
paraphrase
my fault,
Wendy.
is it? That's not my fault. If someone says they want me to do a little program and you can do what I want, I went and did what I did. Free speech, innit?
But we just gave you the chance then to defend yourself, and you just confirmed Wendy's point 1,000 times over. What was all this waffle about people nicking stuff? What's that got to do with anything?
Because she's having a go at me. I didn't nick
But
anything.
she's having a go at you for talking nonsense that's of no consequence, which is what you just did then.
That's not nonsense.
But what was your point?
Oh, all right, then we'll watch Wendy's little program when that goes out. Let's see what she's got to talk about. Sick of her.
So anyway, as I say, my mother saves various clippings and things which may be of interest. This was recently in the Daily Mail, in one of those kind of gossip columns. Ricky Gervais's cringe-worthy dance routine as managerial buffoon David Brent was undoubtedly the highlight of BBC comedy The Office. Perhaps credit for the scene should not go to Gervais, however, but his lanky co-writer Stephen Merchant. For I hear that 6'7" Merchant has been attracting a great deal of female attention at the so-and-so pub in North London, until he took to the dance floor with Brent-esque results. Says my mole, most of the feminine throng looked away in embarrassment. Putting it kindly, he was rather ungainly, like a giant albatross hopping on stilts. Right, now then, I'll take issue with this because, firstly...
You wouldn't be attracting female attention in the first place.
Rick, if I had been, I'd have phoned the Mail myself. Point A... Right, I seem to remember distinctly I was talking to one of my mates the whole night and we were discussing about the fact we were too shy to talk to girls. So wrong there. Yeah. Point 2, as you well know, if I take to the dance floor, which on this occasion I didn't, I remember distinctly not because I love to dance, I would not have been described as a giant albatross hopping on stilts because Karl has seen me dance, you've seen me dance, you know I'm a good mover.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that people can't quite understand how Peter Crouch, the same height as me, is able to be so brilliant on the football field.
Yeah.
The same, people look at me when I'm dancing, they go, I don't know how that big guy is able to bust some of those kind of moves.
Yeah.
I've won 2 dance contests in my life. Those facts, those stats speak for themselves, Rick.
I know.
I mean, you've seen me dancing, how would you describe me?
I think that you look like isn't an albatross, isn't it? So you look like an upright lizard, right, being given electroshock treatment. And I think that's a lot fairer, isn't it, than the albatross nonsense?
Well, so I'm just trying to picture that, because again, I was that a compliment? You were on my side, right? You were defending me.
A cross between a giant lizard and a stick insect.
Again, because they don't sound... straight away, they don't sound like compliments, but I'm assuming you're on my side here.
Stick insect with funny glasses? Is that...
Again, I thought, I was thinking you were perhaps being a bit touch more supportive, but these, you've not really... Karl, you've seen me dance, what are your views?
It's just like a bit of weird art.
That's brilliant! That is brilliant! That's so much better than albatross!
I wouldn't have said an albatross. I was looking at one of them the other day, and I don't understand what they mean by that, because they're dying out. They say, they dive in the sea.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah. Something happened in the brain. It went from the point we were making via an albatross, then it just shut off. It just ping like a pinball.
Well, Let's hear, because it's going to be another good point.
No, it's just saying how, because I've never seen one, and they were saying, how would you feel if you never saw one again? And I was like, I've got by this long without it. It's not bothered me. But it was just sort of saying, what they do is they dive in the sea, sort of put their head under the water, see if there's any fish knocking about, grab one, get out again, right?
Yeah.
Go to land. I don't know if they're designed to do that.
Well, obviously they are.
No, because seagulls are, because you see them floating about. Now, what's happening is they're doing that, but getting caught in nets.
Well, that's it. The net shouldn't be there. That's the point. They're totally adapted to their environment, but we came along millions and millions of years afterwards and stitched them up. It's not like people are going, well, the nets were always there. How did they evolve without getting caught in the net? We invented the net. We've only been knocking around for a few 100,000 years.
But what I'm saying is it's that thing about animals learn by mistakes by other animals. You know, like the monkeys peeling potatoes.
Right. That's never happened. They go and put nuts in the salt water to salt the nut.
Whatever.
How does that get to peeling potatoes? Because in your head, they were working in a canteen.
Making chips.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It doesn't matter what the food is. I'm just saying how they know how to sort of prepare
I
that
love
food.
the fact that you don't care what the fact is. When you're discussing facts, that's all that matters. Otherwise, on Mastermind, they just go, who wrote Much Ado About Nothing? Dickens? Yeah, close enough, whatever, someone did. The fact is what matters.
Yeah, but with that question, that's got a straightforward answer. What I'm telling you is the way that animals work. If it's a potato or a nut, it's a foodage.
And once again, I return you to my question as before. What's your point? What point were you making?
I'm just saying an albatross will find... If you're hungry, you find food or you change your diet. If you don't eat something else, you die out. Simple. Said before. If you want a pie, but they haven't got any pies, you have a pasty. Alter your diet. And an albatross...
Drastically.
Yeah, that was radical.
Yeah, completely changing my diet. No more pies. What are you eating? Pasty. Brilliant. I'm not going to eat quiche anymore. I'm going to have a tartlet.
But you're getting more and more sort of single-minded in your...
No, single-celled.
Yeah.
It's not, though.
In your belief that everything you say has got some kind of profound implication and that no one else is listening, that we're all ignorant. All right. We're all not listening to what you're saying.
Here's another one.
Go on.
Here's something else I discussed.
Oh, come on. This will be good.
In series
This
one.
will be as good as E equals MC squared.
The people ageing backwards idea.
Well, it's not an idea.
They've done something on it, saying how
No, they haven't.
a baby has been messing about with emails. Right?
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
God!
a 65-year-old doesn't know how to use email. So, again, my system works. So say if you're an old person, you're not using the internet, but you shouldn't be anyway, because you should be sort of just getting used to life as an old person. When you're a baby and you're about to die, they're using the internet.
I don't know what you mean. When you're a baby and you're about to die.
This is if
This
this
is the
was
aging
your
backwards
world. If
idea,
it was
yeah.
your world. Well, let me just ask a couple of
Sorry,
questions.
that makes no sense at all. What you just that makes no sense
I'm just saying
at all.
that my theory...
You may as well have hit a wok
what I'm
to
saying,
express that point, because they're...
The pong,
Yeah.
that would have made more sense.
See, this
It
is
would be
why-
more profound,
This is why
more resonant.
This is why Wendy's having a go, though, because you're not being open-minded. You're not thinking about...
But we're being open-minded to good ideas, to sensible thought, to intellectual considerations. We're not being open-minded to this utter drivel.
Yeah, but every invention is a bit... Who'd have thought the Frisbee would have caught on?
That's not... I don't think that can count as an invention,
Of
though.
course it is. People are paying for it. Someone said, I'm going to invent something
But
you can
people
chuck
are
about.
paying for carrots. But they're not an invention. Because you pay for something, it doesn't mean it's an invention.
No, but a man-made thing. A Frisbee, it didn't grow off a tree, did it? Someone's made that and gone, I can sell this. And people are buying it. You know, all I'm saying is things change, don't they? You know, the albatross is dying out. The way, like when I walked into the flat, right, we've had hot weather, haven't we? We've had a lot of flies knocking about. Now, when I was younger, I never saw flies sort of hanging about in gangs. Right? Whereas...
I don't know what world this is. Would they have little motorbikes?
No, just you'd sort of see one would get in the house, my dad would kill it or whatever, but you'd never see three. You wouldn't be going, which one am I going to get first and everything. They'd come in, they'd exit out of a window or whatever. Whereas I walked in on a bit of activity.
There's nothing to eat here.
Right? 3 flies in the flat, right? All sort of whizzing around,
right?
All together, right? So I just sort of think, let them be. They seem to be happy. They're playing around with each other, right? Sat down, reading the paper, look up, right? It was like one was trying to like have it away with one of the flies, and the other one was having a go as well. It turned out it was a little fly that didn't want any of the action, but 2 were attacking it.
How could you possibly gauge that?
Just by watching. That's how you learn, isn't it? You watch. You watch.
But no, this is conjecture again. You had no idea what was going on there.
No, I did. It's the way they were sort of jumping on it and stuff, and I was like, I'm not happy with this going on, under my roof sort of thing.
My house, my rules.
But it's a nightmare because it's small. You can't control it. You don't know which one's which. You might end up sort of pushing out one that's the baddie.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying.
Why are you getting involved?
Just because creatures are changing all the time.
What are you talking about? What point are you making?
I'm just saying the way that flies used to be happy-go-lucky, on their own, the sun's out, have a fly about.
Whereas nowadays...
now, there was like little attacks going on.
But how could you tell which were the 2 aggressors and which was the victim? How could you distinguish?
This was the problem. I mean, all I was looking at was which one they kept attacking. And I was thinking, if I can get that one in the bedroom and then get the other 2 out the window...
What are you...
Just breaking it up. Because what sort of a person would I be to let that go on?
I don't know what he's talking about. He has no feelings for anything. He doesn't care if whole species die out. Why are you getting involved?
That's where you're wrong, because I think more than most people. I think there's a lot of people who just go through the motions.
Yeah.
They do the same thing every day. They can do a job, but that's all they stick to. They don't think about what them flies do.
Karl,
what's that lady
I've known you for, 4 years, and all you ever say is things like, why do we have jellyfish?
No, I haven't mentioned a jellyfish today.
But it's the same old shit. You look at something, you make up your own story, and then your conclusion annoys you, even though it's totally fatuous.
Like I say, the man with the frisbee, what happens if he had a mate who said, it's rubbish that? He wouldn't have done it.
I love the fact that you think the frisbee is the pinnacle of invention. Yeah. I think it's amazing.
No, it's an example of something that, if he was on some programme where you said, I've invented this, they'd go, get out. They wouldn't give him time of day to say, right, I've made this thing, it's out of plastic, you throw it about. What for? Well, you just chuck it about on the beach. What's the point? It's a bit of fun, isn't it? No, I don't like it.
That was an argument with himself.
No, but do you know what I mean? It's a popular little thing, and I'm just saying it's easy to put ideas down.
But you've never even come up with an idea as good as the frisbee, and that's saying something.
I came up with a clippable mat that goes on a cup, and it's a good little thing. I haven't followed it through yet.
A what?
A clippable mat.
What's a clippable mat? What does that involve?
Clippable mat that you stick on a cup, so you can put your cup down on a table without having to go, where's that mat? It's clipped to the cup all the time. And you put the cup down wherever you want because it's got a mat on it.
I think I've seen that.
But why does it have to be clipped to it? Why couldn't it just be built into the cup?
Because...
So it clips onto... You've got to have special cups. It doesn't clip onto every cup.
No, but just the same way that every sauce is different. You don't say, I'm sick of this sauce. It doesn't fit a mug. You use the sauce of that... I mean, I don't use sauces. Just don't buy that.
But isn't a saucer what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah, but it's clippable.
But why is the clippability so important to you?
So you don't have to keep finding the mat when you put the cup down. It's constantly clipped to the cup.
But why does it have to be clippable? Because that suggests it's removable. Why not just have something where it's constantly attached? What's to stop you from losing that in much the same way as you lose the coasters?
Do we need this? Do we need a clippable coaster?
Let's ask him like it's the Dragon's Den. Let's ask him now.
What?
We've got money to invest on your clippable cup. Now pitch this idea to us. How would you sell this idea to us?
You just said, what was your question then?
Brilliant. So you're not listening. Let's start again.
I am.
Okay. Imagine you've walked in.
What is it for? What is it for? Is it a coaster to stop the heat from the cup burning the varnish?
Rick, let him explain it.
Or is it a saucer to stop
Well, look
spills.
at it.
Let's have you pitch this idea to us. Just you've never met us before. We're investors. Tell us, explain this to us. Sell it to us.
Right. We're living in a world where furniture is important to people. They spend a lot of money on it, don't they? Furniture. There's so many furniture shops out there.
Yeah.
All different types of wood from all over the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. If something's come from the Amazon, you don't want a coffee stain on it.
No, you don't know.
Right. But we're living in a world as well where people don't use saucers.
What do you mean
When you go out and buy, because people.
What do you mean we're living in a world where they don't use saucers? Yeah, there's loads of saucers. Yeah.
Because I know people who buy cups singly.
Right.
Because there's only 2 people living in a flat, so you don't buy a big box, because in a big box of like plates and that, you get things like, what's the plate that's above a saucer but below a plate?
The plate that's above a saucer but below a plate. So it's a plate, but it's below a plate.
But it's a size that you sort of go, what am I doing with this?
So what would it be? A side plate?
Maybe, but
a plate that you'd have alongside your regular dinner plate, right?
Maybe. You put a bread roll on or something in a restaurant.
Maybe,
yeah, okay.
but
What's your point? What do you mean?
This is fascinating to me. Because this is his best attempt now to try and attract investment.
Do you know where your mats are at home?
I haven't got mats. Don't use them.
Why not?
Because it doesn't bother me. I haven't got any highly polished furniture from the Amazon.
Right, Steve, have you got any sort of...
I've got some coasters and I use the coasters.
And do you know where they are when you need one?
Well, yes, because they're always at the place where I would normally put down a mug of hot tea, i.e. on a table or a coffee table.
Right, now...
If I had a highly polished table from the Amazon, I'd keep my coasters on it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying now is, what happens if you get up with your cup of tea? You're a busy man, right? This is what I'm saying. We're living in a world where people are busier than ever.
Yeah, go on.
Not everybody can sit down and enjoy a cup of tea sat in the same place.
Right.
You get up and you might move into another room.
You haven't got a polished table in there from the Amazon, so it doesn't matter.
But you might be working on another expensive table.
Oh, fine, we'll have a coaster there
that
as well.
has a computer on.
My question is this. 1, does it fit all mugs? Or do I have to buy a special mug to have this special bit attached?
We can work it whatever way you want. We can either look at the standard size mug and say, let's appeal to everyone, or we can get in touch with some mug company.
How is it clipped?
Just like little plastic clips that clip onto it.
Yeah.
And then you clip it off and you clean it. They're dishwasher proof, by the way.
They don't need that at all.
But why can't you just make a mug that has something built in the base of the mug to prevent it from making the mark?
No, I don't need that.
It's only the heat that makes the mark, isn't it, really?
I just want to say now, let's appoint this idea, and I'm out.
Right, but what about the idea that you've just suggested then, with the mug with the saucer built in?
Yeah.
What about will we do that together?
But that's not your idea. That's my idea.
Yeah, but without my idea, you wouldn't have had that.
Well, but that's absurd. We're having a conversation. I've come up with an idea. Now I've got the money. I've got the money, and I'm going to go off with that idea.
Yeah, you haven't painted it anyway, and it's a rubbish idea, and you couldn't.
It's not rubbish because I've just thought as well that'll be good for putting biscuits on the side as well.
Okay, no.
That means we can get rid of that plate that I don't know.
By the way, now this is broadcast, you can never patent this idea because it's out in public domain.
Rick, why don't we see if there's anyone out there who's willing to invest in this idea? Are you a mug manufacturer? Are you a mug designer? Are you someone who's got any interest whatsoever in this idea? Do you think it's a saleable idea? And more importantly, would it be not great to have a picture of Karl's face on the mat?
Because it's perfectly round.
Perfectly round.
As well, and you'd scold him every time you... So
there'd be a certain satisfaction in that.
Yeah, well, if Peter Jones is listening, or that Ballantyne fella, or... what's his name?
Any of the big investors on that show, or indeed any investors anywhere, podcast@rickygervais.com. Get in touch. Tell us how we can move forward with this brilliant new idea.
Pathetic.
Oh, chimpanzee, that is going to rain it down the little...
The jingle that signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. Got up and put the radio on. I listened to the story that the vicar read on Radio 2.
Yeah, that could be good.
He was saying how Jesus was 33 when he died. He said he was more into the idea of doing a lot in your life than living for ages. This was linked to the news about the doctor who's come up with some stuff that he's been injecting himself and his wife with that makes you age better. I looked it up on the internet. It wasn't worth them doing it because they are already old looking. I don't know why people want to stay looking young. You can wear a bald head better if you're old because hairs are replaced by wrinkles.
It's drivel.
No, it's not drivel.
Pointless.
It's just
A pointless entry to a diary, that.
it's not, because that could be a like an important bit in like world history.
What?
The fact that someone's trying to make people not age. Age is good, isn't it? When you see an old
That's been
person,
going forever.
what has?
People trying to age better.
No, but he's talking about if you're 90, he wants people to look like they're 30, and that's not good, because how would the world run when that's going on?
Well, I agree. But
You know, when people-
it's not a revelation.
If I like chatting to old people because they know a lot of stuff. So if I'm sat on a train and someone's old, I'm happier talking to them about.
They get up and move after about 10 minutes.
Well, he
No,
likes
but
the fact
they-
that many of them are infirm and can't.
Yeah, they have to stay there and listen to this one.
But yeah, even that means that they're getting more out of life in a way, because they don't move about as much, so they have more thinking time. It is weird how that happens to you as you get closer to death.
Jesus.
You know, you're not working as much because you're resting, and you can think back about your life, and you can think, oh, I had a good one. Actually, it's not been that bad. Whereas if...
But you must have started that now, because you've been doing nothing for the past 3 months.
Yeah, but I'm just... Well, that's, like I'm saying, it is a good thing for you to do, to sort of think about what you've been doing with your days and your weeks.
And how
stuff.
do you assess your life so far? With all this spare time you've had in your hands and moping around and moaning about your illness and just sitting round, right? You've been introspecting, have you?
Yeah.
Go on then. What have you come up with?
I haven't come up with anything. I'm just, I'm just, you know, I have an all right life, and things are changing.
Oh, keep saying that.
No, but you don't know how much they are changing, to the point of, I don't know if I mentioned the squirrel eating Mars bars, but from that, from that happening to monkeys opening bottles with lids on them, to it's mental out there. It's madness what is going on. And all I'm saying is old people need to be old people. You need oldness. You need to see old people. You need to go, right, they might have a solution. They've been on the earth longer. Quick, we need an answer. How old are you? I'm 32. Well, you look 78.
I don't know what you're saying! I don't know who that conversation was with, why you got angry, and I think you made the opposite point that you were making at the beginning. If you say you're 32, you look 78. No, you were saying about it'd be a problem if you were 78 and looked 32.
Well,
I don't know what you're saying. You came down on the wrong side then. You did that whole thing and you bollocksed it up again in your brain.
I'm just saying, either way, you need to have people who look old. Otherwise, who's in charge?
I don't know what you mean.
Right.
So you say you're saying it'd be all right to make 78-year-olds look 32 as long as there were some 32-year-olds that look 78, as long as you've got old-looking people.
No, but say
Can I
like...
tear this page out? Because it's worthless.
What I mean is, when I went to the doctors,
Oh.
I saw the specialist, right, about the kidney stones. I was asking him all the straight questions.
Go on.
Is it life-threatening?
No.
You know, how long am I going to be out? All
Couple
the
of
rest
days.
of it, right? Now,
As it turned out, it is life-threatening, and you've been out for 3 months whinging about the fucking thing. Strange.
Now, he was quite old. He looked about 55, and that reassured me in a way. In a way, it didn't, because he's one of them doctors who didn't open his eyes much, and I kind of thought, I hope you
I
open
don't know
them
what you're
wider.
talking about. What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean he didn't open his eyes much?
One of those sort of doctors who's either that overworked, that is, he does that. Do you know, when he's like, he's tired, so he's going, right, what we're going to do is, and he's doing that with his eyes shut. He's talking
Well,
like that.
this is radio.
I know, but I'm telling you, so you can see.
But people are meant to be listening to this.
But if they can't imagine me with my eyes shut,
Well, tell him you got your eyes shut. Just
Right,
say he had his eyes shut.
yeah, he had his eyes shut.
Had he been reading this? Bored stupid, I imagine. He's just trying to get a...
But do you know what I mean? Or I don't know if it's because he's tired or if he's that educated that some people know so much they don't even have to look at it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Intelligent people.
Who is so educated that they don't need to open their eyes?
You see it. You see like.
Who's that? So, who's that bloke up there? Is he blind? No, he's been reading too much. He doesn't open his eyes anymore, doesn't he? No.
Old people who you see wearing tweed and what have you, and they're really posh and they talk, and whenever they talk, their eyes are shut and they
I
open.
don't know what this observation is.
I don't understand why you've never seen that.
I've never seen an old, educated man wearing tweed who doesn't bother open his fucking eyes.
Steve,
I
have
don't
you?
know what you're talking about.
Steve, have you seen? Do you know what I mean when people don't sort of open their eyes when they're talking to you, and it can be quite annoying because it's like they're saying, "I'm not interested about you sat there. I'm not bothered if you're listening or not. I'm saying what I'm saying because I say what I say." And it can be quite annoying.
If he has got his eyes closed, he's probably just trying to absorb what you're saying and think carefully about
probably.
it, so he doesn't misdiagnose
I'm not having a go at him.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like
just
you are.
saying he was 50 odd, and I was happy that he was there telling me.
I don't know know why you were watching his eyes when he was telling you about your insides.
Because you can tell a lot by people's eyes. That's what I said about jellyfish. But, you know, just lines in a face tell a few stories, and I don't think we should get rid of them lines.
Brilliant.
Wise words.
Well, that's the end of show number 4 in this 3rd series of the Ricky Gervais Show. So it's goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Goodbye.
and of course, Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Hello, welcome to number 3 in the 3rd series of the Ricky Gervais Show. With me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Hello there.
and of course, Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Had a good week, Karl?
All right. Just boring. It's a boring week. Because that sort of kidney operation I've had, it's just affecting my life in a big way.
How are you now, Carl? Are you feeling better?
Better than it was last week.
Because last week you really were not putting the effort in, were you?
And it's your own fault. You know, you got kidney stones, you don't drink enough water.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been doing this week. Just drinking. I mean, you said what sort of week have you had? What have you been up to? That's what I've done. I've drank water. That's all I've been doing. If there's a water shortage in London, it's because of that. Honestly, just that's what you have to do. It's just boring. It's like a basking shark, just sort of with its mouth open, just going through the water. Getting sick of it.
Oh, he's led the life of plankton for 1 week.
Have you been able to do anything, or have you just been resting?
It's best to rest, just because you know your body's still in shock. Even though in the head, physically, I thought it was all right. The body sort of just acts in weird ways.
Brilliant.
You know, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Like I said last week, you don't think about your body until there's something up with it, and then you panic a bit. And then you go, right, I'm going to look after it from now on. I've been given a second chance here.
As I said before, this was not a life-threatening illness or operation.
No, but it's that same thing. The last time I had it was when I nearly choked to death on the Mr. Freeze pop.
Right.
Where I had that sort of, what do they call it when you have like a second coming? Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing where
I don't think you're the second coming.
No, but that thing of...
If you are, we're all screwed.
You mean the second chance?
Yeah, it's a second chance thing.
Your life flashes before you, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you get you suddenly feel kinder. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, you sort of go, right, you know, that was a bit of a warning. Be
like
good,
Scrooge?
Be good to people and stuff. Yeah, a little bit. I think it's normal.
So are you now a nicer person? You're giving more generously to charity and the like?
Well, I haven't been out, so I can't do anything. I can't help anyone.
Well,
yeah.
Go online and...
But maybe, you know, once...
Donate some money, all this cash you're earning.
No, I've given enough money away. Sick of it. But,
He's changed.
So he hasn't changed at all then, no?
But you've also got to be careful as well, because there's that thing of you can drown yourself by having too much water.
Yeah.
So it's just getting that balance right of not having too much and filling yourself up.
Well, yeah, it's that balance, right, of not dehydrating and, you know, becoming like a desert jellyfish, like a little crisp, and drowning yourself.
Yeah.
You're right, it is a balance. That's exactly what you've got to do.
I don't know how you've managed it, Carl. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
No, but
what I do is when I'm thirsty, I drink, and when I'm not thirsty, I don't.
Yeah, but that's the problem with me. Whatever it is that's in your head that says you should have a drink, I don't really have one.
It's called a brain.
It's called a brain. Yeah.
It's the brain that tells you. Yeah.
But my brain's never thirsty. I only think of drinking when I'm eating. And I'm not eating as much because my kidney's weird. I don't want to put any pressure on it, so I don't drink. So now, if I have it in front of me all the time, I go, right, I've got to have that.
Yeah.
So I feel, feel a bit better.
Good.
Just it's just been a long week. Because when you don't do much, it's just, time doesn't whiz by.
And normally your weeks are packed, as we know, with visits to the cobblers.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like they say, innit? They say...
Following an ant.
Exactly, yeah. You've got a hectic schedule.
I know, I don't know how you fit it all in.
But, because I was close to death and everything.
You weren't close to death.
I've been thinking about, other people who've been in that situation where they're dying and what have you. And it's weird how, like, in a way, do you know, like they say before you die, things to do?
Yeah.
I think
I've never
it's
heard that
best-
sentence before. I don't know if they say.
Well, I've extrapolated from that. What you mean is there are certain things you should do before you die. Swim with dolphins, etc.
Yeah, but in a way, because I've had such a boring week, it's been a long week. So if I was dying, don't go swimming with dolphins because you'll love it and the time will whiz by and you go, oh, there's another day gone. Whereas I've been sat at home watching, The Price is Right and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it's only 4 o'clock. God, this is dragging. So if I was dying, I'd go, yeah, it's dragging, but I've got ages more left to live.
But what's the point?
But it's surely about quality of existence, isn't it, when you're dying?
No, but anyway, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Been a boring week. But what I've been doing is going on the internet, sort of learning stuff, been watching more documentaries about stuff.
Yeah. Okay, tell me something you watched on the internet then.
The thing that stands out the most, there's this spider
Right.
that a fella got, popped it in like a little sort of bottle.
Yeah.
And chucked in 80 ants. And the spider, right, just went mental. And I don't know if the spiders eat ants. I don't know if they do. But he wasn't happy with them, that they were there. And he was just whizzing around, sort of biting them. Not eating them, just giving them a bite. And the ants would sort of just lie there, dead. And